Is that Musu Rogers?
Okay, well, first, we want to welcome all our viewers and listeners across the globe. I am Alphonso Zean of the Liberia Public Radio and LPRTV coming to you live here this evening from the East Coast. Time check is 12:26 here. Like we said, we're going to be having a series of program here this afternoon, and very shortly, the first segment I will be speaking with the superintendent of Sando County, the Honorable Nambwe Soyonta will be my special guest. Liberia Public Radio own Mike Gray, Ambassador Mike Gray is in Sano. That will be the very first phase of the interview, and then later on, right on top of the hour at 12 o'clock, I will be having the medical officers of the Republic of Liberia talking about Dr. Francis Ketah, going to be my special guest. But joining me now from Sano is our own LPR Mike joining us right now. Okay, Mike, let me just bring you in here very shortly so that we can have this program going here. Okay, Mike, good evening and good afternoon. How are you? How's Sano doing?
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Joe. How's everything there in the U.S.? We are doing perfectly okay here in Sino County.
Okay, perfect. Okay, is good, and thank you for the extraordinary job, and thank you for going beyond the borderline to have with us here the Honorable Superintendent of Sando County, Superintendent Lee Nambichi Senior, who perhaps I might say that experienced the taste of COVID-19. But before we bring in the superintendent here, set the stage for us here, you as an independent guy on the ground for us. How is Sando County so far?
Okay. Yeah, Sano County is doing perfectly okay. Everything is going on fine. Since we have the last case who happened to be the superintendent of Sino County, we are going about 7 days since he was released, and so far there have been no confirmed case of COVID-19. We much appreciate our health authorities. They are doing just well in making sure that the life of our people are protected. And everything is going okay, as I said. So I'm here with the superintendent today. I'm sure that he's also going to be giving an experience how it was like in isolation for the past 21 days.
Okay. All right. Let's get the ball rolling right away because let me talk to the superintendent. Yeah, thank you so much. So, folks, for those of you listening via our Facebook and YouTube page, we are living in Morovia where political decisions are made. We are in the southeastern side of Liberia. The Honorable Superintendent of Sando County, Superintendent Lee Nagwichi Senior, will be joining me here very shortly. Can we have the superintendent on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. There you have it. Okay. What, Honorable Superintendent, good evening, and how are you, sir?
Well, a very good evening to the Standard citizens in the diaspora and the Liberian Lash. I'm doing very good.
Okay.
As you can see.
Okay, yeah, I'm seeing it. Look, I'm very happy that you honored our invitation to appear on this network. It's part of our job to hear from our community, our local leaders, to get a sense of what's happening instead of always hearing from correspondents. And thank you so much for honoring our invitation to be here. Okay, let's start out. How is your county so far with respect to this deadly virus?
Well, thank you. I think I'm under the obligation, and I owe this to the people of Sino, wherever they are, to always abreast them with information as related to our county's growth and development. So I am honored to be on this show at this hour to give unfold this information to our people. Right now, Sino is kind. Sino is quiet since the inception of the COVID-19. Sino has managed to have one confirmed case. And by the special grace of God, this case has been the only case. And I think, for more indications, by the aspiration of God, will be the only case in Sino so far.
Oh, okay. So, all right, that's good. We don't even want that because I know for sure Mr. Superintendent is very, very much deadly here. But how well is your county prepared? In as much we do not want it said in time of war, we prepare for peace, right? But we do not want that. But what is the preparation in terms of the health institutions and the folks that are working with you? How prepared are you guys?
Well, we are prepared before even the The major outbreak as was claimed by the health authority is Sino. We started initiation by the giving to our people some sanitizer, hand washing materials, and buckets from our initiative to tell them the importance of COVID-19 and this deadly virus is very serious and that we should take it into consideration and everybody should observe the preventive measures that have been put in place by the health authority. And our people have been adhering to our cause, and they have been doing very well in terms of the preventive measures of the COVID-19. But right now, as we speak, Sano is stable, Sano is quiet, Sano is kind.
Sano is calm. So, do you have the infrastructure in place in case there was any incident that you can tell us? Do you have, for example, a center where, in the case someone is infected, to be quarantined, or do they have to come to Monrovia?
Like you regularly say, in terms of people for war, there is a place that I myself got isolated in, and I spent like 21 days, though the capacity is not wide up. But the health team, along with the county authority, have managed to arrange with the local authority here and the young people of Sino to acquire the youth center of Sino County that holds more than 20 bedrooms as a quarantine center in case of any eventuality, whenever there is case, so that we can use that place. So that place is prepared and waiting for any other case that may arise in the nearby future.
Like you said, you were quarantined. How many days? 21 days?
I was quarantined for 21 days, and after 21 days, when my last specimen came negative, I was also advised by the health authority to be quarantined at home for additional 14 days.
Additional 14
and
days.
that made my case very special, an exception.
So you live at those 14 days, or you were creeping, coming out to perform some official duties?
No, I have never been creeping. I thought to obey the rules and regulations because the state of emergency was signed up by the President, Excellency, who happened to be my immediate boss man, the one who employed me to work for the Liberian people. And so at every given period, I should respect that. And whenever message comes from the health authority, it should also be respected by me as the President of Sino. So that's what I thought to do. And despite my kids were different, I was treated differently. And I see that as a sign of moving forward and performing the message of the Excellency Dr. George Manawia. So after the 21 days of quarantine, in fact, I got released on the 22nd day of my isolation, and I came home again. I was also advised by the health authority and mandated by them to stay at my domicile for 14 additional days because they've done the specimen of all of my household and my office staff, and they're all negative. So I just had to abide by the health protocols.
Yeah,
so if I come from the health authority of Sino, I should abide so that I can be in defiance of the Excellency, like the George Manawia proclamation.
Okay, I'm happy to hear that because, and this is why we are happy when we hear from the leader themselves and not just only our correspondents or news people that are reporting the news. What was the experience of a sitting superintendent being quarantined? What was the experience? Were you feeling bored? You felt isolated? You felt humiliated?
Well, yeah, you can give all these attributes. Partly as a human in the flesh, that's how I feel. By the end of the tunnel, I saw victory. Because if we get to understand that in the entire county, it was the superintendent and the superintendent who is the only affected case so far, confirmed case, and was isolated, and a household was negative, the office staff was negative, all his deputies, his lieutenants were all negative, and the entire county interacted with, because when I came from Monrovia, I distributed buckets and hand wash materials, and even rice to the local community on my own expense. And all the people I interacted with did not get affected. My entire household, down to the 1 year old baby I have in the house, never got affected. And I mean, that's a marching forward. I see that as a victory. I see that as a overcoming, and I know other people understand it from their own perspective, and will try to humiliate me, will try to stigmatize me, but I don't see that as being stigmatized or humiliated. because if I can get infected, it means that if I can catch another person, because I'm not a health practitioner though, and the health practitioner came up with that saying, with that finding that I am positive of the COVID-19. That's why when I came on Memorial, I felt feverish, and I went to the hospital, and my laboratory test was done. I was diagnosed typhoid and malaria and a chronic cold, and subsequently my specimen was taken to Monrovia in less than 8 hours. The report came that I was positive. I have no option but rather to abide by the health authority rules, because they said that they are experts in that area.
Were you surprised of the result when you got that result? Was there some health scratching?
It was shocking. It was shocking because holistically, to be factual with you, the drive from here to Monrovia is about 8 hours. When the road is perfect, it's dry, because you know that dusty road. And right now we consider the road like 10 to 12 hours. But my specimen was done by 3:30, taking them over by 5 o'clock by Tuesday, 5 o'clock p.m. the afternoon. And Wednesday morning by 6 o'clock, I already signed that I was diagnosed positive of the virus. And the first meeting was held at the Edge Hospital by 7 o'clock. And by 7:30, the Liberty Broadcasting System had it on the air. And for the had it on the air that top government official, living district number 1 is on bill and came down with the virus. And the speculation was all over the place, and citizens were concerned, because normally in our country, and according to the health protocols, when one is diagnosed positive of the virus, you don't describe them. You want to say we have one confirmed case. But in my own case, I was prescribed. The description was made, by the CHO that one a senior government official who lived in district number 1 is on bill came down with a virus. And at which time, most of my colleagues and family members and citizens knew that I have fever. So the speculation was on the air for like almost 2 hours. There was a talk show, and citizens were eager to know who was that top government official who came down with the virus, because they wanted to be very cognizant enough so that they can come in contact with that top government official so they can get affected. Yeah. So the CHO and health authority left our point suspend, and that was why I saw it necessary, and I called the father of Sino and said, no, the health authority did my specimen and they said I was positive. They say I'm positive. So probably I'm the one the CHO is talking about, and let not be panic, let not be in fear. I'm the one who the health authority announced positive of the COVID-19 in Sino County. So that's what prompted me to call the father of Sino.
Yeah. Will there be some sort of future retaliation by the actions of the health authority, like you rightfully alluded?
No, I don't think I had that in mind. Those are professional people, and I believe in. I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible principle. I believe in vengeance is mine, that Christ Jesus said. So, if they did that with good motive, why good? If they were wrong, with wrong motive for their own personal askadasman, I give glory to God for that. That the fact that I can go to isolation for 21 days, the 22nd day I came out of isolation, and I'm good, I'm healthy, I give God the glory. I don't have any future reactions or retaliation against anybody. My mind is clear.
I know there are limited resources in the country, not to mention Sano is no exception here. But the idea that people being tested and then sending their specimen to Monrovia, coming back here, I see that as a potential burden on local leaders because the facility are not there. Are you making this request to the health authorities in Liberia? In the next 30 minutes, I will be hosting Dr. Ketah, who happens to be the Chief Medical Officer of the Republic of Liberia. In Sando County, you as the administrator here, are you making that request to national government to do something about it?
Well, yes, before even my isolation, that request was made, and I think the health authority that is headed by Dr. Jonathan Flomo is also following that request to national. But right now, as it stays, I have not resumed official duties. Like I told you, I'm still under 14 days of quarantine, self-quarantine at my house. I've gone for like 7 days right now, and I expect to even have another 7 days right there. So there are major issues happening across my country right now that I cannot speak to. I cannot step my foot out because I want to be loyal about it. I want to be in the confines of law to obey the regulations that have been instilled by the health authority of our country. So I'm home right now. I'm hearing them, and probably I'm making my own contribution telephonically to those individuals that are concerned. And I think if they are hearing and they quote unquote are working in line until we can have our 14 days expire and be certificated by Ministry of Health, then now we can resume our official duties as the vice jury and the head administrator of Sino County. Then we'll touch this basic. But right now, I show that the health authority, they are working and in collaboration with my able lieutenants who are out there, interacting, and on behalf of the county, they are working in showing that this thing, they are put in place.
With this in mind yet, but Mr. Superintendent, what was the experience looks like? You being the chief executive of the county, it was the first hit. So the other men were there, hey, they are the big people. Let them go through it, and they will have the experience.
But in fact, some of our citizens even concluded they insinuated that there was out of trick and artifice that I was doing, quote unquote, so that the government send money to sign us so that I would get benefited from the monies. And I said, I was like, wow. Even if I would have such intention, why can't I pay someone to do it instead of myself to derail my career that I built for the past 40 plus years, because this have a stigma. But for me, trust me, I have a room in my life for disappointment and this kind of thing. So when it happens, I move ahead.
Do they have reason, the Honorable Superintendent, for them to say that it was a sort of ploy that for national government or local authority to get money? Is there any reason for them doing that, you think?
Well, I don't know the perception of men. But others said because why I have to come up to the media to clear the air or the doubt of our people when the information was circulating around the corners. The description was made by the CHO and they were not called, and our people were in limbo, and I need to clear it out. And others are saying because since it had happened, I have been the only confirmed case. There haven't been any other case confirmed in Sano so far. So they are looking to be manipulation, maybe from my end to the health authority. But I told them, I'm a businessman. I mean, by training, I'm a businessman. By career, I'm a businessman, and I come from a business background. I've seen money, and I don't think any amount of money right now can twat me to the real my career that I've built all the time. And more besides for that, I am the head of this county. Everybody look up to me for directions. So taking that kind of directions, in my mind, I think I'll be unfair to the people of Sino, and I won't even obtain the blessings of God upon me to lead my people rightfully. So that information is far from reality, but that's perception of other people that they build in their mind. So what we can do is to tell them that it's not truth. And I think as time is going by, they're finding out the sincerity and the honesty from us that what they are saying, what people are saying in street corners, they are not true. And it was actually, pronounced from the health authority. Whether they were right or wrong, I don't care to know about that because now I have practitioner though. And, I just went through the breeding and I've overcome it. Yeah, I'm hoping soon that Sino will be released of COVID-19.
Honorable Superintendent, do you have an idea as to where this infections, where you were infected? Do you have an idea how it happened? Any guess game?
I did not come in contact with any strange individual when I was in Monrovia. I was in the county February, and I was summoned by the Liberian Senate based on the complaint from one of our senators in President Senator J. Beton Tiaje. I quote unquote insulted him on the social media, and I was summoned to Monrovia Liberian Senate. I went to Monrovia and I went to the Liberian Senate, and they told me I should come to my country and work afterward to go back. And later on, when I came to Sino, I felt feverish and I was pronounced.
You insulted the honorable senator?
I don't know what.
Are you there, Mr. Superintendent? Please bear with us. That's what is happening. Mr. Superintendent, are you there? Okay, we just lose Signat. That's the superintendent of Sano County. Superintendent Lead Namwe Chie is speaking with us. He's one of the Zean local authority being quarantined. We just lose Signat with the superintendent. Hopefully, they will join us here again. But right on top of the hour, it's going to be a crowded and busy day here this afternoon from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. And as soon as we get reactions, soon they join us back here. We will see here Stanley Brown say, I'm watching live from Zwadru. That's the provincial senate of Zwadru. As a matter of fact, we also have some young folks from Grange at Zwadru who are willing to express their what they are going through in terms of this COVID-19. They had experience with political leaders and other stake actors. They were willing to share that with us. but we couldn't just get that going. Hopefully, the superintendent will rejoin us here. I'm Alphonso Zean, of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. You can follow this live podcast on our YouTube channel as well. That is, go into the search engine of the YouTube channel and just search for Liberia Public Radio. You're going to watch it live as well. And as soon as the folks join us here again, we're going to be breaking them. We're going to bring the superintendent in here as well. As your comments come, we will be okay. Let's see here. Let's see what we can bring in the. Let's see here. Let's see if we can get the superintendent back on here as well. So get it here. Just bear with us. The network it's kind of like a little bit pain in the neck here, but we will manage. Honorable Superintendent, are you there? Okay, we're still finding it difficult to come in here. Let's see. I saw that we won't get to know. Mr. Superintendent, are you there? Are you there, Mr. Superintendent? Okay, we're waiting. I see here. Okay, no, I'm going to. We right now with the superintendent, and so we just don't want to influence it. Now we are talking with the superintendent. Time check here is 11:47 Eastern Standard Time from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. I'm Alphonso Zean, we are also running out of time here. But hopefully it do a favor. I'm watching from River G. Oh, wow. Sam P. Johnson, Mr. Johnson, thank you so much for joining us here from River G. And this is what we love doing. We need to get out of the political seat of Liberia to Monrovia, where there's sort of exhibitions of press conferences, endless press conferences, and people that are in desperations outside of Monrovia, the capital, to where all of the entanglements of dishonesties and corruptions has engulfed. We need to go beyond the borderline, the comfort zone, where we will be able to speak to Liberians, local leaders, and ordinary citizens, and that's what we are embarked on to be doing here as well. We are solely determined of doing that. We want to welcome Melvin B. Moore, watching from Nairobi. So many big men in Kenya, right? Nairobi. My dear brother, wherever you are, keep safe and follow all of the protocols there as well. I'm Alphonso Zean, of the Liberia's Public Radio and LPR TV. Swent Nyenswa watching live from Sano County. All right, Mr. Nyenswa, thank you for joining us. We're just speaking with your superintendent, who happens to be the first victims of the COVID-19. We still have a lot in store to right on top of the hour. If the appointments do all the favors, the Chief Medical Officer of the Republic of Liberia, Dr. Francis Ketah, will be right here in the spring room here of the Liberia Public Radio. We'd like to get it from the house's mouth. No conspiracy. We'll bring it to you direct, live before your very eyes, and you can decide as well. So, and we will keep doing this from time to time with Mike Gray. If you still have the time, we want to bring in the superintendent. We're going to be getting your questions online. We hope the Chief Medical Officer join us. We expect civility on this network. It's all about Liberia, not an individual. We are not here to glorify the individual. We are doing it. And the more we have these sort of honest and genuine conversations, we will be able to arrive at something. In as much we can front on government, we can front on our local leaders, but it must be done with respect. Then they will give us the room for us to create a conversation. Thereby, we can have a conversation. Minister G. Augusta Bain. Dan, I'm watching from Ganta City, Nima County. Well, Minister Dan, thank you so much for joining us here. Despite of limited resources, 3 days being taken away, but you still tune in. We believe it is for the good of your country. And so we want to thank you so much. We do have our correspondent base in San Nicolas, Nima County, Mr. Daniel Gate, also doing an extraordinary job. And we hope to be getting the local leaders. That's why we have embarked on to take government outside of Monrovia and take it to the people. That's what we should be doing. And not every minute second lawmakers having press conferences when we need action to be put into place. We want things to be done. I'm tired and sick of having these press conferences that does not really yield no result. But I still, it's all about not doing well for the good of our people. Thank you so much for joining us as well. Darlington Collins, I'm watching from Bowens University, our state, Nigeria. Okay. Well, if you are Liberian, we say thank you. If you are Nigerian, we say thank you for joining us here. This is what we do. I also subscribe to a lot of Nigeria, the Nigerian, Sierra Leonean news outlet. We got to look here and there to see what is happening around us to be able to follow stuff here. Let's bring in somebody from Banga, Bon County, Jackson G. Zuo. See, I'm watching from Banga, Bon County. Yeah, this is Zuo. Thank you. In Bon County, in Central Liberia, we also have our correspondent there, Bertin Ketah Tino is also there. So we have in there as well. Okay, let's see here. Okay, if you let's see who comes on here.
Yeah.
Okay, back with us is Mr. Mike Gray, who is our national correspondent of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV, right there with us here. Mike, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, sir. It's the network.
Yeah, I know. I don't even
So the superintendent is back.
Okay, let's have the superintendent here. Let's see here. Of course, I see folks are joining the watching. The superintendent is good. We have the superintendent here as well. Okay, Mr. Superintendent, we understand in that way that's it. It's not your fault. Okay, thank you to have you back here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Having me back.
Okay, good. So, yeah, okay, talk to us here. We were in the middle of it and we got disconnected. So, how is the situation that we have talked a lot about the coronavirus? What is the security situation in terms of the state of emergency? There are a lot of reports coming from all over the manner in which security personnel are handling civilians, their own citizens too. Somehow is mind-boggling here. So, how is your men and women security apparatus in Sando County? How are they doing it differently?
Well, for the case of Sino is different because we come to our country to serve our people and with our security apparatus here, the joint security, to manage with our citizens. And our citizens are also in adherence to the health protocols and the state of emergency orders, the lockdown also. So by 3 o'clock, the streets are clear in Sino, Greenville, and everyone's is in their various houses, doing their own thing. So for security coming in contact with citizens, there have been no violence, there have been no case so far. Our security and our citizens, they are going alone here.
It was a reported at some point in time that a lady with on the back, about 3 police officers brutally manhandled that citizen. Was there any investigations conducted? Did you hear you hear anything about that?
We're in Sino.
Yeah.
Well, you are the one who is putting me in the know. I did not have any information on that. Unlike now that I'm hearing it and your correspondent here is confirming it, so I'm here to do a follow-up. If that is true, we're going to investigate. But on the aggregate, the security here have been very professionals in discharging their duties to ensure that the stay-home order is followed to the letter.
Almost Superintendent, we are talking about almost pretty close to 3 weeks ago. So none of your deputies, none of your people ever brief you in any way, form of that incident?
Well, I have not gotten the information from any source. My principal deputy is not in the county in Morovia. The one next in line, the development superintendent, is here. Probably she has not had some credit to call me. The inspector, who should be my principal prosit, has also not been calling me over the time to ask related information to me. But the good thing is that we're going through our time. And one time is over, we will need reports from our principal deputies who will have in charge, who were acting on our behalf while we were in isolation. So as soon as we get those reports, and we will do a follow-up on them and try to see what was the cause.
Will you get to the bottom line of that? Because most often this is where the distrust and a problem, unnecessary problem or problems mount with local leaders and their civilians. We understand. I will not condone anybody who would disrespect any officer. But this came at a time that we are in a volatile situation that you know and I know, and men and women they took oath to defend and protect the very citizen. But some of them, and fair to say, some of our citizens too, they go beyond the top to be very disrespectful to law enforcers. But you know, will you get to the bottom line of this?
But that is why, yeah, I can assure you, we're going to get to the bottom line of that. And if the citizen was wrong, we investigate that. But like you are saying, woman with child, and where might handle, that's a issue that we should launch investigation into and get to the back to the root cause of that. And we'll do that in a second time you hear from us.
Okay, we are all right. Well, I mean, we can squeeze you on that. Okay, we in the diaspora to the Sanonians and every other Liberian. I was in Sinod in the 70s. I went to demonstration school. I was living in Beaujeuerville, which of course you know, and the Sanonians in the USA and other parts of the world. Let a cat eat your own baby. Yeah. These citizens from Sano in the USA, they contacted the local leaders in Liberia as to what they can do as citizens, not necessarily whether you like the government or not. That's not the issue, but for your own people to any of them have done that.
And that is why I think we were going to conclude on from my end here. Because I watch on the social media citizens from River G, Grand Gila, Maryland, and other parts of Liberia are contributing hugely in the diaspora and making their own donations as it comes to this fight against COVID-19 in Liberia. But like for Sino, we haven't received any one call from many citizens in the U.S. So it possibly I start to wonder as to whether they are no one living in the U.S. Right? People make personal contribution to their family members, to their town they hail from. But in general, as a county, no one person has ever come up to send a dime as an effort, in helping to combat this deadly virus in our county.
Is that disappointing? And to be honest, we talk, we chastise government, we blame our local leaders, but we ourselves too, in order for these people to understand, or we have to make an impact, be it our village, our community, our school, or our association that we have had. Is that a surprise one there for you as well?
There is no one citizen who have ever made an attempt to render assistance to this county. In fact, the last time, some part of June of last year, I was in the U.S. I was in Nebraska. I made some efforts to blank some schools with our school system down here. To be precise, the Brownell Elementary School in Lincoln, Nebraska. And there was some efforts made. But we could not have any Sino citizens who could help us in the process to ensure that this dream would have been forwarded in our efforts. We didn't have anybody to doing that. And right now to speak, we are still in contact, and there are some material available for our schools down here based upon our negotiation. But there is no citizen who ever come up after hearing all of these things. In fact, I was on the show with Zaya Pole, and I thought some citizens would have called and having interest in what I wanted in the U.S. to call me and buttress my effort, but no. Probably I don't know the reasons behind their actions, but even at that, you hear from Sino, you're from Sino. If for any reasons you're in the diaspora and you've become anything, I think you should always remember home, like other citizens from Liberia, in other part of Liberia are doing.
Absolutely, then that I agree with you. Now it's better late than never. Nobody know what's the reasons, whatever the situation is. I'm not going to dignify anything, whether you like the government or not. We all are obligated, including myself, and that's part of the contribution to call you and not just only hear stories about bad news and just throw it out there. I think that's been disingenuous. But even it said, as a saying, I say it's better late than never. Now they are still listening to you. When you were to make an appeal yet, Mr. Honorable Superintendent, what could be some of the basic things that you want Stanonians to answer your call, or to answer your call in the context of helping their people as well? They have tons of standard organizations in the diaspora. When these people go for a convention, they raise thousands of money. That I can tell you.
I know. I know I was in the U.S. when the last convention was held in Philadelphia. I was in Philadelphia. I was right in Philadelphia when the convention was held, but because probably people feel like you rightly said, maybe not in favor of the government or quote unquote a former lead number here. He nailed the hammer to the nail. He does not bow for the truth. And with the organizations and the arrangement they have in America there have been a whole lot of hoodoo battles. Maybe they felt if I would have attended that convention, I would have said something that, someone who didn't have loved, hearing. And probably I was not invited. I spoke with the president then, and we talked, and later on, and the one said, I went on government mission, I have money, I should sponsor my own trip to Philadelphia from Lincoln, Nebraska, and blah, blah, blah. While I was right in Philadelphia when I had a convention. But I could not attend because I did not have official invitation extended to me, though. So better late than never, they are hearing me right now. If they feel that they are from Sino, and the best thing that you can offer to your parent when they educate you is to reciprocate back to them. So in this kind of time, in this kind of difficult time where other citizens are being contributed to their county and it intimidates them to be contributed to Sino, we appreciate that. In any way, we appreciate that.
Let me get this here. I'm trying to process what you are saying. Are you saying you were here during the convention? They knew that you were here and they did not extend you an invitation to attend?
I spoke with the president. The general president of Sound Citizens in America, my brother from TS here. And I spoke with the president in Minnesota. I was on my way to Minnesota, and I stopped a 1 hour distance from Minnesota. I could not reach Minnesota because I had a friend who invited me. I had to stop by to her for like 3 days, and I went back to Lincoln. So I do the convention. I was in Philadelphia. I was in Philadelphia.
And you were never invited.
You asked the president, he will tell you.
And
we spoke.
You were never invited.
I was never invited.
Why you didn't?
Because they thought if they invited me, they would have paid for my hotel, paid for my ticket, and I had everything ready because I got prepared when I went to the U.S. So they never invited me. Based on that, they had a whole lot of arguments among themselves. I was never invited. So I just stayed right at my little brother's house in Philadelphia, and the community got over, and I spent my 2 weeks there, and I went back to fly back to Lincoln.
So why you didn't go there, Mr. Superintendent?
How can I go there as a county head, the father of the county? Even traditional.
Okay.
The superintendent, that's what I thought. So when I was never invited, I could not go there uninvited though, because there were other sounds that were invited. Like Honorable Clayton Donkey was invited. Alex Noah was also in the States at the time. The port manager of Family Avera Port of Greenville was there. He attended based on the invitation of Clayton Donkey. And I was never invited. I thought I would have been extended on an official invitation as the head of the county.
Okay. All right. I had to do this. Time has caught up with us here. But again, I want to thank you so much. And I hope we're going to be doing this consistently during when you have the time. It's good for you. It's good for us. It's good for the country. It's good for us to hear from our local leaders. We do now for us here at LPR. We can be judgmental and begin to render verdict on people. Oh, this is what the president did. Until I talk to you. I'm getting a message here. Dr. Ketah, who is the Chief Medical Officer, is standing by to be joining me very shortly as well. Yeah, but before we take leave of you, what is the message to the Liberian people, including myself? What we have not heard before? What do we need to hear?
Well, let me firstly appreciate you and the platform for following me the opportunity to talk to our people across the globe. I must admit, I highly appreciate you for the effort made so far to getting to me, because sometimes you will say they only hear from your correspondent and hear from other sources, and just based on that, and spare your information out, but that you can hear from the houses and stuff. I can show Liberian across the globe is that we only one thing in this country, and what we need is a different But what is and support Sandra are doing in supporting their own county from their own meager resources they work for in the US that nobody put in their pockets. I want to encourage St. Louis in the diaspora to also join and follow suit to support the local authority, buttress the effort. Because many times we go to the IMF meeting and we contribute money from our own pockets to help the county health team combat this deadly virus.
Mm-hmm. And nobody seems to
supporting the joint security effort to ensure that they can have a joint patrol and constantly to ensure that people don't cross across our borders, come here with a virus from our meager resources. So you guys who are up there in the desk also.
Okay, Honorable Superintendent, is a great.
Okay, Zean.
Yeah. All right. So, Mike, again, thank you. And again, we really want to thank the superintendent for always giving you the asset when we need information. We really, really appreciate that. What can you leave with us?
Come again, you are sounding very low.
Yeah, as that, I want to say thank you for making it possible for us to have the superintendent here to also hear from Sino.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, so thank you so much, and we will keep in touch with you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Okay, there you have it. Okay, there you have it. As the superintendent of Sando County, through the initiative of our national correspondent, Ambassador Mike Gray, there. Already, thank you so much to Superintendent Cheat for taking of time to speak with us here. Again, I'm waiting to get a signal here from our special guest here. That's the Chief Medical Officer of the Republic of Liberia, Dr. Ketah, will be here, or very shortly here. Just give me a break. Will be joining us here very shortly. In an exclusive, trying to seek answers to the many questions out there. We will be taking questions from online as well. So just in case you have your question, just put it online, and then we'll bring it here. Let's just be getting some reaction here. Nimayat Wajolo, my brother and friend. Now, Soup, I would like you to say not as yet contribution to being to receive. You do not know what is in the pipeline for Sino. Well, my man, the pipeline now, the time that the team finishing point, you talk about pipeline. We wanted for it to come from the pipeline. But anyway, that's a here. And let's see, Connect Nyipan say thank you so much, Mr. Lee. Maybe cheer. Okay, let's go to one of our supporters. Eleanor Barclay is watching from Delaware. That's the hometown of Joe Biden, U.S. Democratic presidential candidate. Thank you so much, Madam Barclay, for joining us here. Justin Khan say is greeting everybody, not only me, but those of you that are training down with us here on the social network as well. I'm waiting here to see, hopefully, we have our guest. The Honorable, the Chief Medical Officer of the Republic of Liberia, Dr. Francis Ketah, will be joining me, who happens to be, I believe, the Deputy Minister of Health as well, the Republic of Liberia, will be joining me here. And I soon guess that signal, if all goes well, we're going to be bringing that here. In the meantime, let's see some of your comments coming from our Facebook feed. Also give your reaction from a little bit that you heard from the superintendent. If there's something worth commending, say it, but we want you to say it with civility, with respect. If there's something that maybe you disagree with, okay, that's fine. You can also speak your mind. But we just caution our viewers and follower here to always be respectful. Civility is important. It makes a conversation to you to resort. Because when we begin to insult and we begin to throw jabs at people, then of course we are not going to go anywhere. Okay, I think this is I'm hearing here. Okay, yeah. So yeah, okay. On board. Let me see here. I'm getting the message. We'll try to do it by video, but unfortunately, it seems that he's not getting. So let's see here. Let's see. Let's see here that we can see if we can connect it to do it to have in via phone. Yeah. All right. So let me see here. Let me just call him here as well. If it can't connect, then we gotta call him here. Hello. How are you doing, Alphonso? Okay. All right. If it can work the other way, we can do it. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay. All right. We try to get the chief medical officer of the Republic of Liberia, Dr. Francis Ketah, on live video that we did in the case with the superintendent that is not working, but notwithstanding, we're going to do it the way order here. What is important, the message are going to be coming from the chief medical officer of the Republic of Liberia. All right, Dad, thank you so much. It's better late than never. I know we've been talking on this thing here from the onset of this whole COVID-19 year, but it's better late than never. Thank you for taking time to join us here this evening. We want to welcome you on the Liberia Public Radio.
You are welcome, Sir Alphonso. It's good to be on this medium.
Okay. One thing that I'm not really still used to and I'm trying to get accustomed to is to introduce people. And I just want my audience. That's one of the reasons we wanted this live video, but since it's not going through, that is okay. I want it to come from the house's mouth. If our audience are following us through our Facebook feed and our YouTube channel, to know exactly who we are speaking with this afternoon.
Okay, so you are speaking with Dr. Francis Ketah. Dr. Ketah hails from Maryland County. Went to school, graduated from Fatima High School. Spent a couple of years at the university and went to the United States, completed his honor grad in Jacksonville, Illinois, entered a medical school in the Caribbean, and did his clinicals in the United States in Chicago, and thereafter did a postgraduate work in surgery, and back to Liberia. In Liberia, Dr. Ketah worked at Ganta Hospital and later became chief medical officer of that hospital, and left Liberia in 2001, returned to the United States, was in Chicago, worked at Sacred Heart Hospital in Chicago, and then pursued a master's in health administration, becoming the first African public health director in the state of North Carolina. Served as public health director of Anson County in North Carolina from 2004 to 2010. In 2005, he pursued a degree in Homeland Security with emphasis in biological weapons of mass destruction. Graduated from the University of Connecticut, and the course was an executive course that the beginning of every semester, you went on campus and spent about 14 days on campus. And so got that degree. And then in 2010, the end of 2010, were asked by Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to come to Liberia and run the Jackson F. Doe Hospital in Tapeta. And so Dr. Ketah resigned his job and came to Liberia, served Tapeta Hospital from 2011 up to the time of Ebola. When Ebola erupted, he was called to serve as Deputy Incident Manager over the medical response. And so he directed the medical response of Ebola, designed two strategies, the CCC strategy, that is Community Care Center strategy, and the rapid isolation and treatment of Ebola strategy. And those two strategies basically helped to contain Ebola, not only in Liberia, but Guinea and Sierra Leone. And then right after that, he was appointed in 2015 as Chief Medical Officer of Liberia. And in the present government, he was also retained in his present position. Personally, I serve as Deputy Incident Manager over the medical response for COVID-19. Thank you.
Wow. Now you get a reason why I told you that I can adequately introduce people, because I couldn't have gone through the sort of impressive and hard working things that you went through, and the enormous sacrifice and services you are rendering to our country. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for what you are doing. So whether we disagree with it or not, but the fact that you giving back to your country, that is amazing, and I want to thank you. That okay. Let's get the ball rolling here. All right, Di, good to have you here. And for us here at LP, I would like to hear from the houses. We don't want to be quoting our correspondence and be getting sort of these soundbites from on the social medias or news outlet. Bring us up to speed here. The situations in Liberia as it relates to COVID-19. Where do we stand as a country and as a people?
Thank you so much, Alphonso. And for those in the diaspora, this is what has happened thus far. When COVID erupted, and understanding that it became a pandemic, we decided initially to basically do two things. One was that to become a little proactive. During the time of Ebola, we used a system called Precautionary Observation Center. What that meant was that it was a negotiated quarantine where we would take people in, fare them, and then monitor them. We knew from the initiation that if COVID were to come to Liberia, it would have come either by the air or from one of the foreign lands to come into Liberia. To do that, we decided whenever a person travels from a highly infected country, and at that time we had our limit 200. If there's a 200 confirmed cases in a particular country, whenever you got into Liberia, we will monitor you, take your information, and then from our community network, have one of our case manager to monitor you for 14 days. What happened was that one day we had a couple of Liberians returning from China. And in one day we realized that false information was given to us. We could not account for 35%. And so when that happened, we decided to move into a jerk reaction. That jerk reaction was deploying a precautionary observation center. And on that particular day, we had learned that there were 29 Liberians returning from China. And so we decided to open a precautionary observation, indicating that all those that came would have been placed in a secure area where we'll have access to them for 14 days, monitor them, and if any one of them came down with a sign or symptom, we will quickly isolate them to contain, not to encourage community transmission. This worked for some time, but in that time, we also went before the legislature requesting for funding. During that process, I indicated to the legislators that if there will be a case in Liberia, that case would have come from one of the government officials coming in, because many times we realize some of us.
Yeah, I had to interrupt people. Is that why you told the lawmakers, Die?
Yes, I said that.
And what was their what was their reaction?
The reaction was, again, a jerk reaction where one of the lawmakers, whose name I'm not going to call, indicated that I should be held in contempt because I was carrying on a blanket accusation on government officials. And so we retracted our statement. But then when we had a first case,
so meaning
some of the lawmakers
meaning you were on the wrong side of history for retracting your statement.
Sure. I mean, and if this, because there are certain things you have to do because you do not want to miss the message. The message was to send an alarm. that there was an issue that would have been erupted. And if that issue would have come and you change that, it's going to change the whole scenario, especially after being in Liberia for many years. And so the fact that the message went out, the same lawmakers called me after we had our first case, and two of them asked me, "Are you a sand cutter?" No, I'm not a sand cutter. But knowing what I knew based on the data that I was getting and information, I knew that would have been a means of having a COVID case in Liberia. Fast forward, we started the process, and then we had a community transmission. What led to community transmission? We have few samples in few testing kits in country using the PAMA and the VTM, which is the viral transport medium.
When you say few,
when you
say a few, what's the quantity of that? Is there a number we can put on it?
We have, I would say probably less than 200. I cannot give you the definitive numbers now, but I think less than 200 because as you and we had additional test primers coming over to Liberia, additional reagents coming to Liberia. They were stuck in Nigeria and in Senegal. So we anticipated thousands to have come. Unfortunately, because we shut down the airport, it became a problem. So we went for 12 days without doing a test in the country. That, I think, led to the community transmission. And if you look at our data, as we look at the information from the granular aspect of it, you realize that the initial community transmission, you had it between 14th to 24th Street.
Okay,
entire block areas.
Yeah, okay, let me intercept you here, because we want to make it a little bit interactive here. You, as the chief medical officer of the Republic of Liberia, with such a vast experience, unquestionable here. I'm wondering here on top of my head, whether you had the privilege when all of these things were unfolding, you had the privilege to sit with the president, the health team. I could be wrong, but my guess here potentially under your supervision to explain to the president or to the government in its entirety the danger, the threats this disease were being. You had an opportunity to do that?
We've done that to the government, and like we initially established what we call the incident management system. Based on our past experience, we immediately established the incident management system. Under the incident management system, we also came up with a system called the SPACO, Special Presidential Advisory Committee on COVID, and the president chairs the SPACO. So yes, all of the key government officials were being briefed, and they follow and monitor what we're doing on a daily basis. Even as of now, the SPACO meets 3 times a week using visual means.
Okay, so the other version of it, meetings, briefing, then were they accepting your proposals coming from professionals, because you and your team have the expertise to do that? Were you guys listened to?
I would say yes, we have been listened to, because had we not been listened to, I think where we are today, we don't have reached yet. So and all of the funding that came into the response came from the government of Liberia, and the president was very, very pragmatic and letting the finance ministry know that they have the incident management system needed funding to carry on the operation.
Do you have a long-term and a short-term goal to execute this COVID-19, or it was on a short-term basis? Probably I'm getting ahead of my shadow here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing here is that whenever when you are dealing with a crisis, you have your short-term plan and you look at your medium and your long-term. Now, what has happened is the fact that when it came to COVID, globally, everyone is learning this disease. And so it becomes very, very difficult on carving something that you think is will accomplish what you intend. So as you understand the transmissibility of the disease and look at it from your context. That is the local context, how people react and so forth. You have to begin to tweak your response in order to make sure that you achieve the optimal goal you want to.
I'm kind of a little confused yet, and probably you will help me, and that's one of the reasons I've been very much consistent to talk to somebody who can give us in-depth. In the process of this cover, there was a committee, special task force committee put in place by the president. Was that with the advice and concerns of the health people in the health community in Liberia, including you?
At this point, I'm not going to go into what are the decisions taken and so forth. I think that is above my pay grade.
So
what we are doing is that we have the incident management system. Under the incident management system, Dr. Wilhelmina Jala is the incident manager. She is responsible to make sure that we contain COVID in Liberia. Beneath the incident manager is the deputy incident manager over the medical response. And whatever we are doing, we have not changed our strategy in order to contain COVID in Liberia.
Meaning Dr. Ketah is unaware of, is not part of the makeup of the presidential task force, correct?
I'm part of the presidential task force. So Madam Mary Brewer basically is the overall coordinator, but she also serves on the logistic pillar under the incident management system.
And the reason I'm asking this yet, is to get a clear insight, because this has been the talking point. This has been the discussion here within the diaspora community, the functionalities of this very committee here. When I saw certain time health workers were not, they were complaining about the pay, and that's one of the reasons I was asking the long-term and short-term goal. Now there are 15 political subdivisions in the country, which of course you know are represented by local county medical chief medical officer. How many quarantine centers do we have in the country? On top of your hair, you can tell us.
I mean, basically, we do not have quarantine center. We have precautionary observation centers. So all of the counties have been mandated. Every county has a decentralized system as it relates to the incident management system. The county health officer at every county serves as the incident incident manager at the county level. Now, every county has been guided in the process of what we call preparedness. So, in the process of preparedness, each county is being asked to look within the county system and see what are some of the structures that could be used as precautionary observation center. In other words, if they were to have a suspected case and so forth, where can they quickly isolate those cases? And so that is something that goes around the 15 counties. Now, from the preparedness stage, you have counties that are in response. A couple of weeks ago, we had 9 counties that were in response. Within those 9 counties, there are treatment units and precautionary observation centers. So today we have now 3 of the counties. 3 of the counties now are on countdown. And what they have done is that those that were confirmed cases in those counties have been discharged. Those that were on a precautionary observation center have been discharged, and so the countdown have started. Those 3 counties that are on the countdown are Sino, River G, and Grand Cru. Now you have 6 counties that are in response: Maryland, Nimba, Grand Bassa, Magidi, Masorado, and Bapulu. These are counties that are in response. Within those counties, you have smaller treatment units, and depends on what happened, we have the ability to expand the treatment units in those areas. And if need be, based on the case, whether the person is critical or not, we can then transfer them to the main treatment unit, which is the Fulton Military Hospital.
So then let me just ask this question here. Having these centers here, do they have the capacity to deal with a crisis, or they are just like a transition point where people can eventually be moved to Monrovia? Because I was just online with the superintendent. For example, his test had to be sent to Monrovia, even though the result was sent in timely. Is there any sort of plan to maybe looking at the county to divide into like a zone frame where there's some sort of logistic can be moved there to make it much easier to expedite the process?
When you're talking about logistics, yeah, Alphonso, when you talk about logistics, which type of logistics are you referring to?
Well, for
because
example,
logistics
is very broad. That I agree with. I'm talking about in terms of the testing. Say, look at the counties within the southeastern. Say, we look at the region.
So the thing here is that we are using the PCR for testing.
Okay.
And as you are aware, even the rapid test has not reached that sensitivity level, so we cannot deploy rapid testing now. But we have a system in country where within maximum 48 hours, we can get a sample to Monrovia, have it tested, and results are being given. So we have that system that have started during the time of Ebola, and up to now, we still run that system. And there is an NGO that run the system for us called Riders for Health. And so in terms of gathering specimen from whatever part, whatever nooks in Liberia and so forth, we have the ability to do that. And the PCR that we have is at the LIBR where testing is done, because we want to produce quality. And so we have to maintain that. Now, there are other systems that have been developed using another equipment called the Gene Expert. We have about 21 to 22 Gene Expert machines around the country. So if we have the primer or the reagent that other countries are working on, is being worked on in Germany and the United States, if that reaches its sensitivity level and so forth, and they are deployed, definitely it makes it much easier for us to now use the Gene Expert. Because in terms of exposure to the lab technician and so forth of the virus, with the Gene Expert machine, exposure is a little lower. The risk is lower as compared to the PCR. So the PCR has to be run in a confined area because they have to go in and actually get the RNA, and it's the RNA they use to test using the PCR.
Okay, so give me a quick run through here in terms of where we stand as a country, as a nation, with the number of cases now, because every minute here and there we have our people also sending information. But I have you here now. What is the figure that we have up to date that you can tell us on top of your head?
Sure. So as of today, we have 233 confirmed cases in the country, and we of those cases, 196 of them are from Montserrado County, 7 from Bapulu, 4 from Grand Bassa, 1 from Grand Cru, 16 from Magibi, 1 from Maryland, 6 from Nimba, 1 from River G, and 1 from Sino, giving us a total of 233.
233. From your own background, how significant is this figure?
I think it is significant in that what we are doing is that those counties that are now on their countdown, the fact that we're quickly able to isolate those confirmed cases, that gives us a light of hope that if we begin to quickly isolate people and those active contacts are being monitored and so forth, the possibility of a transmission within community decreases. And this is what has been proven in some of the southeastern county. Let me give you an example, because sometimes in the diaspora, we hear people saying, why are we testing their body? There's a waste of testing their bodies. I can tell you, had we not tested a dead body in Montserrado County here, Monrovia, today we wouldn't have had a case. We wouldn't have even known the epilink of the case in Grand Cru. Had we not tested a dead body in Bapulu, we wouldn't have known the epilink of that case and the cases that are coming now in Bapulu. One of the things that have happened in Bapulu, we have about 7 cases there. One of the things that have happened is that those people were quickly isolated and so forth. So from the active contact of that dead body, this is where we are getting our cases. And because those cases were quickly isolated, we thinking the probability of community transmission could be decreased to a certain level. And so these are things that we are doing creatively, innovatively, understanding our own country context in order to make sure that we find a creative way that could help us to get to zero.
Yeah, somebody here, and that's a very good, legitimate explanation that you are provided, and this is why we have been calling for all along to have this sort of a civic conversation dialogue. But somebody that is listening out there who does not understand the gravity or the sensitivity, the importance of all of that, would say, but why are you testing their belly? So, in what time frame, proximately, in what proximity time frame that you can carry on these tests to make sure that these cells are still responding? And are you going to get your results accurate?
So the thing here is that the sample collection, you collect the samples out from the oral pharyngeal or from the nostril and so forth. What we do now is that if a person dies in the community and we get a call, we immediately dispatch an investigative team there. Based on the investigation that
how long
the team carries on.
How long does it take for this thing? Are they spontaneous? How long does it take? Yeah, because we have been hearing.
It depends when we get the call. It depends when we get the call. But I think on the average between 3 to 4 hours maximum, because we don't know when we get the call and so forth. But as soon as we get the call, and if all of the team members are not engaged, definitely our team goes there to investigate. And right after the investigation, they determine whether the case warrant additional investigation. Then the sample collection team goes in and get the sample.
Wow. That's quite interesting. Let's talk some high call issue here, and this is not meant to put in trouble, but I know just to discuss here. Now, the national government there was suggestions of distributing to ration. And I'm saying this to say because to some extent, it also there's a collaboration here with the work you are doing in terms of the kind of support system that will be coming from national government. Will also youth resort. So now we are hearing extensions of this. How trouble are you in terms of getting the kind of result you anticipated getting?
I don't think we are trouble because despite what the government was doing, we already have a plan. On Sunday, the incident manager and members of the incident management team decided to do what we all did, give our specimen voluntary for testing. So that's another strategy we have designed that we think, because as we listen to members in the community, we talk to people, we have our community engagement team in the community, and they are giving us feedback on what are some of the perception of the people in the community. One of the things that communities members were saying basically around the country, especially about a week ago, I went towards the southeastern counties, and while on the radio station, questions were posed to me. And so we decided to do this. That would serve as an impetus to people in the community to begin to do voluntary testing. So, for example, in those community and the level of data we can go to the granularity of the data, so we know the communities, we know where people are coming from. So basically, we are now putting in specimen collection centers in those communities. So the fact that we can voluntarily give our specimen for testing and the results can come out and we can announce to the public what has happened, that gives at least a hope to some of the community members. Because of what we did, the entire UN system, headed by the UN representative in Liberia, tomorrow they are going to give the specimen voluntarily to be tested. And so that was a design strategy we deployed that will help us to make sure that we get to those areas where we think we are having problem. And if we can have people voluntarily giving their specimen and they are tested and so forth, the sooner we can get those asymptomatic carriers, the better it is to break the transmission in those communities.
I'm not hoping for us to reach to that sort of critical point yet, but how many ventilators do we have currently active, effective, working in Liberia? If it were to reach a case, were to reach a worst scenario,
we have about 6 ventilators, but you also have to realize that 80% of people that are put on ventilators do not survive, based on the statistic we are getting. So initially, when this whole thing started, everybody went into a knee-jerk reaction, and people were thinking that ventilators was the gold standard. Now, literatures and other things that we are all looking at globally, ventilators is still an issue. Yes, there will be some people that may need ventilators, but it's not what we anticipated from the initiation. Another thing I can say here quickly is that what we have done in Liberia, if you look among the sub-region, Liberia now has more people that are recovering versus our neighbor. So as I speak today, we have about 121 persons that are survivors. And we only lost 2 persons at the treatment unit. So I think we are doing a fairly good job. But in my rule, if one person lost his or her life, it affects me. So we hope that we get to a point where people are diagnosed early and they can get the supportive care that we give them in our treatment unit, and then they can all become a survivor.
Talking about support care, and that's something I've really find interest in. These people, are they supported? Are they fair? Are they treated with dignity and respect, regardless of the situation they find themselves in? I know it might sound insane here to asking this question here, but these are sort of a sound bite that we get out here, and so when we have the opportunity to meet people that are in charge, it's better that we have this sort of a civil conversation. Are these people treated fairly with respect? Are they fair? As it should be, as patients?
No one is going to say everything is gold. No. The fact that nobody plans appropriately for COVID, nobody knew COVID would have come. We did not have the infrastructure. And so luckily for us, the 14 military hospital was available. And so what was available was a building. So the building was available. We have to begin to design the bridge as we build it. So initially, yes, there were some issues and some challenges, but as we move forward, we have overcome those challenges, and we think we are providing optimal care to everyone that comes to the treatment unit.
Are you looking forward in the future in order to get this done, to carry all sort of sporadic testings of citizens? Is that something the government or the ministry are contemplating of doing?
I mean, the thing we have to do, and looking at economically what this disease is doing globally and so forth, and if you listen to other countries, especially developing countries and so forth, people are looking at using rapid tests. And what this is going to do is the fact that we may have people who have already been exposed and have developed antibodies against it. So would there be a time where we can say, look, we can treat this disease like we treat malaria or any other disease around. So what we do is that as long as we have the rapid test, whenever a person comes in during the triage process, we can determine whether this person has signs and symptoms that mimics COVID. And with that, you can run a rapid test on them. If they are positive and so forth, while you are trying to do the PCR for confirmatory, you can therefore begin to put them on a protocol, a supportive protocol that we think we are trying to tighten the screw around it using the Liberian context, that we think in the future we can publish what we are doing in terms of supportive treatment.
I know it might sound a little bit ridiculous here, but forgive me if I'm just getting over the top here. Who advises the presidents on critical health issues in the country?
I mean, that is the role is the role of the Ministry of Health. And so the Ministry of Health, headed by the minister, basically is the technical advisor to the government when it comes to health. In addition to that, we have supportive partners. You have the WHO representative and you have the CDC representative that are in country. Besides that, you have other UN agencies. So it depends on what it is. When it comes to women and women, you have UNFPA. When it comes to children, you have UNICEF and so forth. So we have all of these entities that will work together. Whatever the issues are, we can now come out based on technical advice and advise the government on what our thought processes are.
Including yourself, Da?
Yes, I am the key. I'm a key player when it comes to that. I'm the chief medical officer of the country, so those things fall within my purview.
Okay, you are a key player. Let's let the cat out of the bag here. And I'm trying to draw this parallel line here to see whether we can have a connection here. And it's one of the things that have raised eyebrows and a $1 million question. Perhaps you can ask here. And let me just set a scenario here to put it into context. Recently, our neighboring country, the Republic of Sierra Leone, the aide to the president of Sierra Leone, Judah Marabio, was tested positive. And the health authorities in Sierra Leone did advise and asked for the president to be quarantined for 14 days, almost similar to that of what has happened with the limited information that we know. And folks that are within the proximities of the president of the Republic of Liberia, Minister Nambed, Minister Councilor Danes, they are top advisors to the president. Our presidential deputy press secretary Smith Toby, this question has been asked over and over and over. It's been alleged, been reported that the president is also infected. You've been one of the key advisors to the president of the Republic of Liberia. Have you advised the president to have himself tested?
Now, the issue here is that whenever you have a confirmed case, based on information, based on the facts we have, there may be other issues, facts that are out there, and we are not sand cutters. But based on the fact we have, it doesn't matter who it is. We do our risk analysis. Based on the risk analysis, based on the SOP that we have, those that are higher risk, there are SOPs they have to follow. Those that are at lower risk, there's additional SOP that they have to follow. And I think I have made this clear in an interview with reporters and front page. At the time of all of these things, based on the risk assessment that was done by our team, the president was placed at a lower risk. With that being said, we also, based on the low risk, there are other advice that we give people at lower risk that we may not have certain information. So, but if you begin to have any sign of symptoms that mimics what we are looking at, you have the right to call upon us to get specimen tested, and we can do that. And this is what we do with all those at low risk. Those that are high risk are immediately quarantined, taken to precautionary observation center, and their specimen is collected. And then on day 12, we repeat the specimen collection. And if those two consistent specimen comes negative on day 14, they are then discharged.
So I'm trying to figure out here how you can spin my head around this yet, where you have people that are in a regular basis that are responsible to brief the president. Are you saying the president was not at risk? The president was not exposed? I am concerned because he's my president of the Republic of Liberia, and I want him to be in good health.
I'm also concerned, Alphonso. I'm very, very concerned as chief medical officer of the country. Most of our communication is being done on Zoom. And so, based on information that we had, basically the president was at a lower risk. And so, whatever advice that goes to anyone at lower risk, that was being given to him.
Would there be any future tests, Minister?
Personally, we are going through voluntary testing. We are asking all Liberians, including the president, to do a voluntary testing. But we cannot begin to mandate people. If you want to mandate people and so forth, then you have to have a genuine reason for mandating someone to do that. But you can also appeal to people to voluntarily do their own testing as for, in order to get certain things done. And so that is out there for everyone to do a voluntary testing.
Will the president do the voluntary testing, do you think?
I don't think that's a question that I can answer. I think the president is the one, he has that right to answer and so forth. That is not something I'm not working in his head to know whether he's going to do it. But that is out there to say that we are requesting everyone to come and do a voluntary testing, especially those areas where we have so much of our cases.
Will you recommend that voluntary testing to the president as a chief medical officer of the Republic
Alphonso,
of Liberia?
that is whatever we advise and so forth. I think those are some of the privileges that we have. This is not something that I'm going to tell people, this is what I said to His Excellency or to this person and so forth. What I've said is that we have informed the general public that they are free to come over for voluntary testing, and therefore I can stop on that.
Okay, quite understandable here. We are hearing about extension to possible to lockdown. Is that within your purview? Are you having a discussion to what are the plans for the people to get prepared ahead of this whole thing here? Is it possible to lockdown? You think going to be complete lockdown?
There is looking at the data that we have, there is a probability that we could lock down certain areas that we are having more community. So it's going to be a targeted approach. And this is something that we are discussing. And there are other scenarios that are out there that we discuss. And we'll make a timely decision as soon as possible. But if you are doing for a country like Liberia, if you are doing a lockdown, it has to come with other things. Because as you may be aware, many Liberians, most of the people do not have continuous stock of food in their homes, refrigerators, and so forth. So if you have to do that, it has to be a targeted approach, and it has to be quick and fast.
Yeah. Okay. We always like to engage our onliners here. I think there's a good question here coming from one Austin Wallow here, and he said, "How long can you quarantine a person who is tested asymptomatic? My son has been taken to a newly built hospital for about 5 weeks now. He does not have signs and symptoms. So how long do you think that is out? I don't know where he's getting this question from, whether he's in Liberia or in the US or whatever part of the world here. But
the person said their son was taken to the treatment unit.
He didn't say it. They didn't say no. He didn't say treatment unit. Is it a person is tested asymptomatic? Yeah. And my son, my son was taken to a newly built hospital. Whether it's a treatment unit or they just went for follow-up.
Sure. So then, if a person went to a hospital or that person is asymptomatic and so forth, what to do is that based on the testing we do, depends on the person, you can fight the virus. So if we have 2 consistent negative, then you are discharged. But if we do not, so it depends on your own system. So it depends when you have 2 consistent negative, then of course you are discharged. If we cannot get 2 negative, then you have to go through the supportive treatment and other things that are given in line with that.
Okay,
which is the best, which is the standard protocol.
Okay, so there's a question coming here again, and I will try to rephrase this. I do not want to be judgmental because I've never asked any health authority to admit to this here. I will twist it around, and then I will come to the person's own question here. Do we have enough test kits in the country available with this sort of voluntary testing? And then I will come to the later question.
Yes, indeed, we do. We have for now, we have over 20,000 that we have in the country now. Since we have started the testing, we have done more than 2,000.
20. Yeah, are you saying 20 testing kits in the country right now as we speak?
20,000.
Oh, 20,000. Wow. Okay, so are they distributed into these in the various counties, or they are all based in Monrovia?
No, the collection, the sample collection So you have what we call the VTM, the viral transport medium. The viral transport media is what we use to collect specimens. We have so many of them, thousands of them. So yes, they are distributed in the counties and so forth, especially those high burden counties. Like for example, just today, we dispatched additional VTMs to Grand Bassa County because some of the county health officials there, that is health officials, were in contact with a confirmed case. So we send more VTMs there to collect more specimens from them to have them tested. And so, yes, we do have enough VTMs in the country.
Okay, and the reason I didn't want her to just judge, but she has a right, her opinion, her view. Madam Edith Wallace was her question was, how can we do voluntary testing when the testing kits are not available in the country? We now know, I can quote directly, vehemently, from the chief medical officer. There are 20,000, and I think 20,000. I'm not a health expert, but I think it reached a good chunk number. Okay, why Nimaya Tawajlo say I'm here in Pennsylvania. He's right here in Philadelphia. So let me ask you this question here, Tadai. Is there any information sharing with the Republic of Liberia and that of the neighbors? And the reason I'm asking that question, in one of these conferences, there was some sort of conference, and I heard the defense minister saying they were sharing the intelligence because, these cities, these states, the countries, they are also in their own lockdown. And I think if we achieve the purpose, if there was some sort of information sharing within the sub-region, because the ultimate goal is to contain this. So are you talking to your counterpart in Sierra Leone, in Guinea, in La Cote d'Ivoire, for example, to see how both countries can weigh in and maybe take decisions that will be best for the sub-region? Is that something you guys doing?
Yes, definitely. We have a platform for discussion, and we also look at best practices in each of the countries. For example, if you look at the sit reps that were being presented, Liberia has been the first country that started testing their bodies. The other countries were not doing that. But based on what we have gathered and so forth, those countries have appealed to Liberia to give them the protocol. What is the protocol we use for testing their bodies and so forth? So if you look at the SIFT rep now from the sub-region, you'll find out that our neighboring countries now are testing their bodies, and there are other information that we share based on best practices.
Oh, okay. That's good. All right. Well, we don't want to show you up here, but I hope this would not be the last time this would not be appearing. I think it's important. There are a lot of unknowns that we didn't know. We getting to know them, and part of that is to have these sort of civil conversations. That's what we believe. You being in the States, you know what a public radio means. We are obligated to the people. We want to have a civil conversation, and this is why we just don't want to grab anything before we report anything. We make sure we talk to the people so that we get a good version and give authority a fair share to hear their side of the view. Now people that are listening here, and there are so many discussions out there. This is not happening. They are not doing this. Put it into context here. What do we need to understand and we yet to get from Liberia with respect to the fight of this COVID-19?
There are a few things we need to understand. Like in Ebola, Liberia basically was hardly hit compared to its neighboring country. But what happened, Liberia was the first country that was declared Ebola free. One, because of the community engagement and the community structures that we put in place. It baffles me that when this whole thing erupted, COVID, we still had some people with the negative perception. And this is something that, when you work in a society that is gullible, people who tied everything to money. Or the people said there is COVID because the government wants money. You are in the United States. You see, I'm looking at the rate now. There are about 90,000 plus persons that have died in the United States.
Oh yeah.
With the sophisticated of the healthcare system. Mm-hmm. So what we have done is that creatively and innovatively looking at our own context, how can we now mitigate the spread of this disease. And this is why we have begun with working with community structures, and the fact that community structures are almost broken down and so forth. We are also trying to use another means where we are directly appealing to the general public to come out to do voluntary testing. And to do that, what do you do first? Basically, as a servant leader, what you do is that you do what you want others to do. So we taking the lead to do our voluntary testing, and we are hoping that others will follow the same lead. If we begin to do that, I can show anyone Liberia will get out of this thing as soon as possible.
All right, as soon as possible. That's why we are all anticipating. That's what we want. And I finally, the health team, the joint security apparatus, we've been hearing reports, a lot of videos been surfacing from inside Liberia, security apparatus handling civilians, and things like that. Is they have authorities? Are they working in coordinations? Are they addressing some of these issues? How security towards approach these civilians? Some of these people, I know some of them go over the top to do things here, but we understand such a volatile situation and where our country is coming from. Are they being devised? Are there new measures going to be put in place moving forward?
I mean, definitely, we meet on a sparkle, and on a sparkle, you have key agencies, key government apparatus that are formed, that are part of Sparkle. So we meet 3 times a week virtually. And some of these issues, initially, they were becoming a major issue. And we brought those out and so forth, especially from gender ministry and so forth. And so we have been working on them. And whenever such a situation occurs, there is an immediate investigation. And based on that, certain actions are taken. And so, like, and I know, it doesn't matter how much system you put in, there are people that may go a little further and something. So, but whenever it comes about, we do everything we can to mitigate that, so we cannot have a repeat of such.
Yeah, I will hope to do that, because sometimes this year, it helps to just build unnecessary tension. Jim Sanga here, before you will let you go, is I think asking or making a good suggestion. Hospitals, he's saying hospitals should be involved in testing. Is that something health authorities are contemplating? So you have like the Justin F. Doe Hospital, Mato treatment in Zwedru, and all of those places. Are they involved? Would they be involved in testing?
Those are things that we are looking at based on the gene expert machine. So when the reagents are finally made, then of course we can use that and use the gene expert machine. But as it stands, we only use a PCR, and those PCRs are at the National Reference Lab. And so they're where they are. But yes, there's a possibility to roll that out to the counties using the gene expert, or if we have rapid tests that meets the international standard in terms of sensitivity and so forth, definitely we begin to deploy those. We begin to deploy those. Yes, hospitals, some health centers will have the rapid test. And then whenever someone is tested positive, you can get an additional sample to do a confirmatory at the reference lab.
Okay, well, nobody could put it into context than the man himself. That's the Chief Medical Officer of the Republic of Liberia. Thank you so much. Is there anything that perhaps I should have talked and didn't talk about you want to tell the Liberian people listening?
Sure. I mean, Alphonso, the thing here is that we are all getting tired. A country that is financially challenged, going through this is difficult. And so we are looking at the economic hardship to our country. And so it is important that we all, participate in the process. One of the things I've told people continuously is that this disease is not a death warrant. What it does, and what I've seen thus far, is that it gives you 2 things. It gives you a key and it gives you a pen. With the pen, you can sign your own death warrant. When you start having this tendency of misbelief and do not want to trust the system and so forth, then you are writing your own death warrant. But if you say, yes, This is the sign and symptom. Early diagnosis, I'm going for treatment. You can come out as a survivor.
Definitely.
And so we are appealing to everyone to become part and parcel of this, so that tomorrow we can get over this nightmare and begin to put in the surveillance measure and put in other systems that will help us protect our country as we move forward and live a normal life.
All right, Doug, thank you so much. I'm going to be making this honest appeal to the health authority, and I want to direct it to you as a chief medical officer. We are open anytime if we can find time, even if that once a month, to have this sort of a discussion and perhaps to involve the audience. That what I can tell you here, the audience and followers of the Liberia Public Radio, very disciplined. They have their country at heart. They ask tangible, legitimate questions. No insult, no humiliation. So we respect our leaders. We appreciate what you guys are doing. And this will also help to allay some of these innuendos and those sort of soundbite that is ongoing. That we are open to that. I talk to the diaspora community. Now I didn't know that we have like 20,000. Now I can quote somebody directly who is in charge. I can say it now because I would say this is what he told me. But if I've seen it on the Facebook, yes, we don't just grab things on the Facebook or even newspaper, including our own online. When we put it before we put anything out there, we verify it, we authenticate it, talk to the people that are really connected to it. But I would really, really appreciate if information sharing is very, very vital, especially at this kind of critical time. We know you guys are busy, sleepless night, and on the state of emergency, we know it's a lot. But we can try to make time, either be the weekend, for us to have this sort of conversation where the people themselves too can call and ask questions, whether it's a silly question or not. Let them ask their questions. If that way can settle the deal, it will settle the deal. We are open for that. That's something you can think about it and let us know, and we can put that into perspective and have such a discussion. And I think it will be good for our country, for the government, and the people of the Republic of Liberia. Dr. Francis Ketah, thank you so much for your time this beautiful Tuesday afternoon to me, evening, after a whole day work to come on this line here to talk to us. Thank you so much.
You are welcome, Alphonso, and definitely this is something that I look forward to. As a public servant, this is what we have to do. And the only way we can all work together collaboratively is basically understanding what is happening. And the more understanding that people have, the better it is in terms of accepting what has to be done in order to reach the optimal goal. So thank you for this opportunity, and please let me know whenever you want to. We can arrange something again.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank
you're
you
welcome, sir.
Okay. All right.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, folks. There you have it. We bring it to you live in real time. No oblivion, no making up anything here. We bring it to you as it is, and we want you to get a sense of it. Now, it is our tradition, so we try to do this thing professionally, keeping the ethics, the values of this business together. And this is why we are not judgmental into our actions, into our way of doing things. We get to the source and we bring it to you directly. Okay, we're going to be having a post discussion for those of you that have been following this program. Now we know, and I say thank you so much, Madam Wallace, for raising that questions as well. But we now know, according to what the Chief Medical Officer of the Republic of Liberia is saying, 20,000. We can say for now that's a good chunk. That's a good number. That's it. Number there 433. 682-433-8802 for post discussions with the Chief Medical Officer of the Republic of Liberia. What did you gather? Is there change in mind with respect to how governments wage the fight against COVID-19? If some of these ministers, we call them most of the time, every day. We hope they will take off time, and regardless what our judgment, our disagreement going to be, we want to have these sort of discussions. It is for their own good. But when it becomes selective which network to go to, because they want special or specific questions to be curved to ask them, unfortunately, that's not our tradition. That's not what we do here. We don't spoon feed people here. If you are a baby, then don't come on this network here, because we ask some questions that you might think is upside down, but they are legitimate questions. Those are burning questions within people. The line is open right there if you want to form part of to get your posts. Post interviewed reaction to what you learned. Was there any new thing that you learned from the chief medical officer of the Republic of Liberia, or do we need to need more? Let me get my first caller here, Madam Musu Benson from Silver Spring, Maryland, USA. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. So.
Okay. I saw you tweeting there and punching it. Yeah, I love that. Okay. So you listen to the chief medical officer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to say thanks to the chief medical officer for clarifying things to us. My concern is when you watch people in Liberia, what are they doing to really separate? Because when something happens or they go into the market, you see the people so crowded up. If they can have some awareness to really, because this COVID-19 is a serious thing. I think I just want to say to our chief medical officer, they have to really have awareness and really educate the people in Liberia to the safety and the people wear their masks. Their masks will really help them, and they can really help educate the people. Not to say people go on the street beating people, but really.
Mamuzo,
yeah.
Let's talk it this way and talk it this way, yeah. Because some of the people too, they knows the danger of this. I mean, they're not going to tell, because believe me, if they start putting police in the street to tell people, oh, you don't wear my car here, they start doing it, we will cry wolf. And don't you think it's time now for our? And I think we also here we have a responsibility, because all of us have our family members, friends, people to tell them, and some of them they don't even listen. When you tell them, I myself sometimes here it's so annoying with this thing here now. It almost 1K people before even the COVID-19 come. Get people know, so you put it to your. It's crazy. But I think we all have an obligation to make sure to create that sort of that sort of awareness here. But what you make of his articulation here in terms of answering the questions and some of the questions that what did you gather from them?
Well, I very enjoy the question. You know, I think I've said something older. Thank you for the beautiful question and the answer that some of us they didn't know. But you were able to break down things to us. We didn't know we had all the amount of kids in Liberia, but he broke it down to us. Now we know that Liberia is on top of his scheme. And I pray that they will do more. I think they need more people to go up in the contest to educate the people, because the men they don't care for our people. You tell them something, even during the war over there, when rocket dropping, 1 minute we have fed, the next minute we say, oh man, let's go on. So I think our people need to be well educated. They need to have more awareness on TV, on the radio station. He really broke it down, and I really enjoyed the question and things that you asked, and you were able to answer every question. Things that we did, some of us didn't know, were not aware of. You were able to educate and tell us about it. And I'm really, really happy that you were able to bring it on. And I hope today will not be only the last.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, and even the Minister of Health will try to, if they can do some of these sort of town hall meeting and forget about why, because here one good thing I know on this network here, people here they always ask questions. I'm not saying the insult. People can be going to jobs at one another. So we will always disagree and agree, and that is our goal. Because if we do it with anger and do it with insult, we will not get the answers that we want, because the person will not show up. Since the onset, I have been contacting him, been testing him, even Dr. Fowler. I didn't get mad because he didn't answer me. He didn't appear in the last couple of months. Up to yesterday, we talked today again. I called him, he confirmed. He said, okay, you know what? I see this consistency in your network that you want to talk to us. I am off for 4 o'clock my time, which is 12 o'clock here. We're going to do it. And so sometimes too, we just go over the board, our tone, our language, our message to these people. I don't want to be disrespected. Exactly. I don't want to be disrespected. I don't want to be insulted for no reason. Then I will not even come. So I think we have to create this sort of, in as much we have our different political differences with government and other people, we have to do it with civility so we'll be able to get to the bottom line and be able to resolve the issues that are ongoing in Liberia, be a political issue or medical issue. I never wanted to dwell into political questionings because I want to know what they are doing about the COVID-19. But hold on one second. Let me just bring in this caller here from 612, number 612. Good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Ben. I'm calling from Minnesota. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I am corona free.
Oh wow.
Wow.
I'm happy. I am happy to hear that. Those are people we want to talk to. I'll talk to one of our friends who said he was infected. I talked to him and I will be hosting him here. Now you are here. Is it possible to get an experience, to get a gist of how somebody who has been tested positive, things that they went through? Because you know what? They say experience is the best thing because man, when it not happening, they can't believe it. How does it look like to get that thing, my dear friend?
I am going to disappoint you because having I work with COVID patients, so I had some symptoms few days ago. So then I went in for my checkup, but unfortunately, instead of saying fortunately, my test came out negative. So
okay, so
I'm disappointed. I won't be able to give you. Yeah, but I had some of those technical, but they were. They were not. They were just the wrong symptoms that I had. So yeah.
Okay, well, it just as it's not a disappointed, it's not a disappointment. I'm sorry to say it's not a disappointment, but we are happy that we don't want people to do that. But the reason we are saying this here, we want to also get to the bottom because experience is the best thing. But there's a guy that I talked to who is willing to come here to tell us his own personal experience. In fact, he posted on his Facebook page when he was infected. He'd been going through it. He posted a picture, so we're going to be breaking here. And that is to give the audience a sense of how this thing looks like, what the experience is, what you go through. Who knows? It will help somebody to take necessary precautions if they have not been doing it in the past. But you listen to the Chief Medical Officer of Liberia?
Yeah. So I kept pointing that I wanted to ask a question. I did miss the beginning of his talk, so if I am being repetitive, just correct me. Did he say that we have the capacity to test for the COVID?
Yeah, it was one of the key questions has been this testing material here. And he alluded here today that 20,000 testing kits are currently in the country, and they are being dispatched to different localities.
Yeah, that is still not a question because a lot of times people made mistakes. So you can have 50,000 test kits in Liberia. So while those test kits are going through you will only use them to test people. Now, the final thing about how the results come out, you have to do something we call there is a region agent. So it is that agent that you have to put that test kit on to confirm if the person has the COVID. So that's the question that I really wanted to ask in Liberia has that.
Well, again, I really do not want be judgmental here, but I know that's why and that's a legitimate question. And hopefully, this is not his last time appearing here. But for the most part, all of us, our apprehension has been: do they even have a testing kit in the country? So I was surprised. I was shocked to hear because all along we've been hearing that nothing has been in the country, but at least we're not here today with this number here. My guess is surmise that probably there are other things accompanied to it. I wish I have had a sense of that, or maybe you have treated that question like other people have been doing. Definitely, we're going to have it.
Yeah. Okay. So then the last thing I want to say is that what prompted me to have asked that question was the fact that 2 months before this whole thing started, the World Health Organization had certain countries in Africa that they went to those country labs and they upgraded their labs so that they could be able to test for this virus. And out of those countries, Liberia was not part of those countries. But the World Health Organization said at a later date they were going to, to be able to provide those agents. And the reason why look, we might have them. I don't want to doubt it. If not, I don't know. But even here in America, the problem that we are having as healthcare workers is not. It is not with the testing kit. It's with the region. So it's the region that is hard to get. So I mean, you can test everybody in Liberia, but if you don't have that chemical that will tell you when the person has it, it means that the whole testing it is insignificant. So that is the major.
You said what? You said what is it?
It is testing. It's what's the name again? It's a reagent. It's just that should be the right thing.
How do you spread that? I want to make sure here because I just want to send it. So we're having a post discussion. Who knows? I want to send here text to see because I know these are all medical related stuff. I don't want to say but I know that was one of the questions somebody raised, and we put that, and I think he was able to. So you say what's the name? Reagent?
So no, REAGENT.
Okay.
So it is just a chemical that will confirm, if what you have in that test tube it is positive for COVID or not.
REANDT, you say?
REAGENT.
Oh, the radiant. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what does that what does it do?
So it is what confirms that you have the COVID test. Like I went for my test a week and a half ago. So after doing that, the nurse has that thing in your hand. What you have in your hand cannot tell her whether I have the COVID or not. They have to take that they have to take that sample and then put that reagent on it. So a reagent is a substance, it's a liquid. So that is what will confirm if you have the COVID or not.
Okay.
So sometimes, let's say if they test you, and for you to be positive, it means that the reagent will have to turn test tube green. Once they put that thing on it, and if it turns green, then it means that you have COVID. If it turns to another color, it means you don't have you don't have COVID. That's what a reagent is. It's just a chemical that is added to the test tube.
Okay. That's a very good question. Hey, my dear friend Baron. Good evening from Inside Library. I just tested him. We are in a call. You hear me now? We're in a call. We having a post discussion. We're having a post discussion from the interview, and these are some of the questions and people I want to know. At some point in time, because we asked to do an exclusive, so what I was doing is randomly picking questions from online, using my own judgment, own set criteria, because let's bear in mind when we bring these people, whether we agree with them, disagree with them politically, they are officials, and sometimes you don't have control when somebody call whatever they want to say because of the divided country that we have. Politics, people, the country is so polarized. But I'm interested of having people that will hear from them directly. That we can engage them, because if we start behaving like some kind of people and they don't show up, it didn't do our good. We don't get the information, and it just gave her more. It just gave her more headache. So we try to lay the groundwork here where we will be able to have some sort of civil discussion, so that when we call this official in, as much we disagree with them politically, we will be able to ask some of these legitimate questions, so that we tell her exactly why it is. Like I said, I just tested him. As soon as he responds before I get off here, whatever the situation, definitely I'm going to let I'll tell the audience.
All right.
All right, Mr. So, that he said that when the minister was on focus on Africa or something, when she said that Peru was the only country that tested dead people, you know, I think they met on focus on Africa or somewhere. Asked her, why were you waste the tester on a dead man? It's, you know, and you could save it for people that really need it. She said, oh, Liberia was the only country in West Africa that was doing it. You know, and I felt like it was just waste of, you know, it was just wasting no things because the person is dead. Why would you go test a dead man? The person is already dead. You know, why would you go waste the tester on a dead person and somebody that living that really need it? But maybe that's the only way they can do it, that their way of finding out things. But I felt that Wilhelmina was wrong by, you know, seeing that she was testing dead people, and the people that really need it, the living being needed more than the dead man. Why would you go waste a tester on a dead man and somebody who really need it, that you really need to save, and you wasting it on a dead person? That was my question I really wanted to ask, and he said that all the African countries following Liberian footsteps.
I asked that question, and
I really doubt that. I really doubt it.
What you doubt?
That, you know, a lot of African countries testing dead people.
No, he said Liberia is one of. He said he didn't. He said Liberia is one of the first in that era before they started doing it. Before they start, I asked that question. What was the rationale? Because I had Dr. Dubanya here, and we talk on that as well before. But he has his own medical reasons and explanations that he provided. Who am I to challenge his? There was a reason that they said they were doing that to give them a sense of leading to some sort of lead. So who am I? Somebody without the expertise to kind of just say no, you're not supposed to do that.
Okay, Mr. So I really enjoy. I'm really happy for them. Thanks for putting me on. I hope you continue bringing them in for them to make things, you know, clarify things to us, because they are in the government. They know what they are doing. You know, I'm very happy that you are able to bring him on. I hope we have the time to bring the Minister of Health.
Oh yeah, maybe through him we ask the Minister of Health to come here, or
so
if he can come.
Thank you for accepting my call.
All right, thank you. We're working on plans to have the gender ministry or somebody with the gender. I've already got a couple of numbers. I've been talking to them. I'm just waiting for confirmation to where we're going to do all this whole gender-based violence things against women and all of that. But I'm still calling. When I call, they refer me to another person. When I call, they refer me to another person. I will not relent. At some point in time, I will get the right person that I can tell you. And as soon the consent coming to this network yet, we will be able to have the sort of conversations. It's all about to persevere as well, because you know, sometimes the people feel that when they come, they go to other places, the people insult them. Nobody wants to be insulted,
right,
you know. So it scares them, and that's the problem.
That's why most of them don't want to come on. That's true.
It's government people does it. The opposition, they get their special places that go. Government, they get their special places that go. So sometimes when you call them, when they are not too sure where you are, where you stand, they have to do their own little FBI checking. Am I going in the lion's den?
Nobody want to talk to you, and you insult them.
No, you know, I don't, and that's why my disappointment is in this whole thing here. People that come on here, and for that they don't take us serious, and they don't understand. Not just only they're not just doing harm to government, but they're doing harm to the country as well.
Causing, you know, people murder. You know, and you know that, you know, you came from a woman, and you causing inside women, cause, you know, I won't want to waste my time to come on your show, and you end up causing, you know, hearing all the bad cause.
Well, Liberian people, the cause part, they like it at a good one, they like anyway. But we are not going. We are not going to
When
do
on
that.
social media, let us be professional. Let them be because let
You
them be
know,
professional people
in the
on
next
social
coming
media.
couple of
Because
days, I
our
will
country
say,
listen to you.
yeah,
Your neighborhood country listen to you. You know, they are listening.
yeah.
Other people listen. You call somebody.
Come here, Musu. Yeah, no, go ahead.
So let me say something for the reason why they can people are testing their bodies to see who have the COVID. When it comes to a pandemic or epidemic, you have to have the statistics right. You have to give report to the World Health Organization. So they will want to know who all are dying from this disease and who all are dying from this other disease. So that is one of the reasons why they and they're doing these and they want to check. They want to make sure that they check everybody. Even right now in New York, about 3 weeks ago, we had to still go back to some people who they thought that they may have mixed because you want to have right information about the amount of people who died through this pandemic so that you can have the statistics right. So that is one of the other reasons why people do those other testing about
Okay, according to focus on Africa, WHO Liberia, I think he just confirmed that Liberia had 2 official confirmed deaths. Leading to this, I think he just said it. He make it clear to us. Now, when he talk about the testing dead people, but officially, I think Liberia had only 2 because that's what he said to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, folks, guys, thank you so much. Hopefully, we might be on late. I don't know yet, but tomorrow we're gonna be back here by 12 noon. We're gonna have a mix-up. Politics as a whole, it came from the Bible itself. So, I'm gonna be having a guy here, Pastor Israel. Israel from a church is based in the Empire State of New York. Believe me, it's fascinating. We have the first edition, and we're going to be here tomorrow. I want to thank you so much. For those of you following us, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go into YouTube. You just type in Liberia Public Radio channel. You're going to see that, and you can subscribe. That way, you can get an alert when we are on. You can also go on the official website of the Liberia Public Radio. It's www.liberiapublicradio.com for news, fresh news article coming from Liberia. You have the Facebook feed there as well, where you can watch the live broadcast. So many alternative that we have created, all because we want information well proportionate. That you have access to the information that you need, well balanced, objective, no subjective reporting. We give everybody the share to free, so you can go there, and believe me, you can get all of the information you need. All right, guys, thank you so much, Moose. All right, well, folks, that's it. We're gonna be wrapping up here. That's the official website of the Liberia Public Radio, www.liberiapublicradio.com. When you go there, you're going to see fresh news from inside Liberia, other parts of the world. So you go to the YouTube channel as well. You're going to, be able to watch live screenings of LPR. We hope to do this. We will reach out to the government, the opposition, the advocacy community. Everybody should be held responsible of their actions. We all should be held accountable to what we are doing, our comments, our statement, whatever that we are doing. Because if we do not do this and say, okay, because this is an elephant in the room and we're going to we're going to cast everything on that, I think then we are not doing good service to our country. Because we saw this happening before in the past, it led us to this situation. So we have to keep alert. We got to be aware. And this is why we are saying, in as much there are a lot of ills coming from in government, the opposition herself, they need to conduct themselves wisely as well. They need to set the tone. They need to get the language going. Because other than that, whatever you're doing is just not all about Liberia. Friends of Liberia, they are watching. That's the international community. You have to do it differently. You have to create, you have to bring in something different, but everybody doing the same thing. And then we're complaining. Everybody doing the same thing, the opposition, people get online, they insult it, they say all sort of stuff. And believe me, it's still going to get ugly, even after George Weah. With the proliferations of the growth of the social media, especially with in broadcasting and live streamings and all of that, more developing coming on a daily basis. So it's going to get ugly. If you kind of adapt yourself into it and you begin to do it now because you are not supporting the particular group of people, when they leave and they see that it works for the other people, what happens? They're going to adapt that same system and they will start doing the same thing. And so then will become like a visual cycle. Just going and coming back to the same thing. In subsequent podcasts here, when I'm broadcasting from the next studio line here, I will play some video here. If you have the time, go on the Facebook, listen to radio to salon, TV's radio TV salon. That's the Sierra Leonean. I see the people that are talking. See the people that are talking. I'm not saying Sierra Leoneans are more educated than the Liberians. The fight, they have a lot of educated people. That I can tell you. I lived in Sierra Leone for quite a long while during the refugee time. But I'm saying that the caliber of conversation that is being kept on their network, what are the oppositions or pressure group, these people sit and they have a savored conversation to put forward to resolution. They critique and they put forward resolutions without you hearing their language, even if they are using some sort of word, it is carefully been worded, well structured. Why? Because they try to find a common ground. And that's how the international community stakeholders, they also value you when you are opposition. But when you sit and start talking like a little chihuahua and shouting on that, you also already create fear in them to even do business with you. I'm not saying do not criticize, but the language and the worst of it, you have even their supporters, their inability to even persuade people. They behave the same way the people that they are following behave. The opposition doing the same thing, the government people doing the same thing. So it's it's all about power struggle. Two forces robbing, and I'm trying to gain supremacy to say, okay, I should be the winner, or I am the winner, and the other opposite side say, no, you can't be the winner. That's all about it. That's just all about it. That's all. And this is the $1 million questions I continue consistently been asking. So what is the strategic policy or strategic plan by this opposition? They don't have it. The same way the CDC government they do not have it. That's the same way because we yet to see it. When will we see it? When will they unearth themselves as an alternative to the crisis or to whatever political stagnations and economic crisis that is ongoing? If they were to even hand power over to them today, what is the strategic policy that do they have? They will also increase the size of the government, like the CDC did when after Helen Johnson Sirleaf left, because all of their followers they will want to incorporate them. They will do the same thing. All of these people running all around here doing stuff and thing gifts and all of that is all at the end of the day is political reward. That's what. Bottom line, that's it. And then when it comes to we're doing this, we're doing that. No. That's they are seeking for state power. And if they are seeking for state power, we have to make sure, it's like you take a route, you fall for the first time, for the second time, third time. What makes you a human being the next time when you go in there, you need to lift your hair up to see whether the floor or the ground there is wet or something there that is not right, is unusual, and you kept putting your foot on that stuff. So if you need to take a step at the time just to cross over that bridge or whatever, then that's what you're supposed to be doing. Again, we got to be very careful. We got to be very, very, very careful. And nobody should be exempted from asking these tough questions. We are the oppositions. And I know all of the ills in society, the 15, the 7, the whatever $1 million, the 25 millions, what going to be the future of it, the abuses and all of that. I understand. I know why it is. But at the same time, it will not be the justifications of all making the wrong decision again. Because I've equally come to realize both government folks and even the opposition, no one have the guts to come clean, to be even to apologize or to be apologetic to the Liberian people if they did it wrong way. One thing they have in common, that similarity, is justifications of their action. Yeah, I do it this way, even though it was not done, but I do it for this one. So they are adding layers on top of layers, layer on top of layers. That's not the kind of country that we want to lead. That's not what we want to do. And it is important. And we who people that are supporting these people, if you do not have the guts to look into your somebody that you strongly share convictions of being a leader, if you can't look in their face and tell them what you are doing is wrong, you need to change course. Even though I support you, but this one you missed the mark. If you do not have the guts to alter that, to tell them, they have you too bad. Then you are the problems of Liberia, because you cannot tell them that they are not treating their country right. And just come back anytime when I start talking, when something comes back, our senators, the 30 senators in Liberia, people went and paid themselves 2 months' salaries and ended financially heavily to rewarding themselves with 6,500, when ordinary Liberians and those that are in the health field and other people were not taking pay, but yet they profess to be an opposition, they profess to be government, they profess to be humanitarian. After squandering state your own resources, and then quickly to circumvent themselves to be humanitarian people, and then I see people clapping for them. Yeah, they want to do it first, they want to do it second, this one do it the last time, and we're doing the. This is the sort of old time song religions of tradition of always turning the wheel around and then finding tons of excuses of their actions, giving justifications of their action. If we keep doing that, we're not going to move anywhere. But the only way we can change course is all of us to come out and point out those people, even if we support them to their end. We must tell them what they are doing is wrong. They're doing it now. If you can't say A, if they go to Capitol Building tomorrow, you will say you will tell them they will listen. They won't. They will not listen to you. We're all moving around now. Everybody acting like Baple now. You know, they are few so they are the rightful people. They're going to be the game changer. And they are not listening. And they do not even have the guts to admit to wrongdoing. But they say, yes, even though they say it wrong, but I the only person do it this way, that way. I think it was very, very much disappointing, especially on the sides of the opposition. The reason being, they are the ones that are seeking for state power. They are the ones that are giving out reasons that something right is not happening within the country. And in order to earn their trust, for me, I'm not sure what's going on with you. I'm not sure what your own decision is. But for me, they have to do it differently. They have to be like Bobby Wine of Uganda, who Yoweri Museveni was trying to give financial reward, covert money to silence him, to quiet him down, to neutralize him, to initiate him to be part of the corrupt system. And he said, no, I will stand with my people. That's my people should get it, not me. He did not give justification to go buy a plastic bucket and put his picture or whatever thing. He refused it until our opposition leader or our lawmakers, men and women, they can turn to be responsible and that they can put the interest of the country first instead of their self-seeking, ballot-driven interest. because when they get it, they enrich themselves at the expense of the Liberian people. We have to start thinking broadly now to people that we are even electing. See this country, people that they have elected. How many of our former senators or representatives, how many can we count that after their 7, 10, 15 years, they've gone back to my own town of Grand Judah and other places to even help to cement, to grow the community college, or returning to do something tangible? Everybody coming, they are broke. Let myself, broke like chalk rat. What do you think they're going to do when you're giving them 15,000, 10,000, 7,000? The thing they not get from age 1 to age 40, they will get all in one day because they are not sure whether you even going to carry them. That's what happened. But here in this country, when the people leave their offices, former senators, representatives come. Some of them, they are professional people from different backgrounds. They are doctors, they are lawyers, they are psychiatrists, and all of that. They have a profession, so they don't worry about stealing because they have something to live by. But it's not, for our case in our country, very minimal. So those people come, they lie to you, and you all become member of the Zion Grove Baptist corruption group, and you cheer them up. They give justifications of their actions, and you do not want to ask them. Yes, they're coming again. You're coming again. See, that's what I say. And we never ask questions. George Weah is President Weah. He's of his character. He's a nice guy. But perhaps if we are asked all of the tough questions, maybe you have bleached around him those folks that are surrounding. And I would not hesitate with our calling name. People like Emiah Shaw, we know the history of Emiah Shaw and all of those people, Charles Bright and all of those people. They would not be economic or some sort of advisor to the president. What do you expect in return? These are people who squander state resources and they're yet to be accounted for. Those are the folks that have barricaded the president and other greedy people who came from nowhere, but they are presiding over state resources, and you expect something different? That's what's happening now with even in the opposition column. Some of them, they are tuned. They not even make them MPA security director. When they talk, they want you want the ground to open for you to go inside. What happens when you give them the authority? When they start wearing that badge, they start having the baton, and then people start opening car doors for them. Cars not stop them, people running down, because that's all our people like. They like people to be servant to them, to serve them, to run behind them like a little chicken. And sometimes I feel so bad. And people, yeah, nowadays, that was that. Sometimes people talk, they say, yes, these people jealous of them. Plenty of us get cooking on hair. And that's why it's happening to us. We did not ask George. We are all of the tough questions. We're enticed with the country giant. And I don't know how many of you are aware that you and Giant cannot live in the town peacefully. What Giant does, Giant breaks things apart. So maybe we're waiting to see what the other Giant are going to be like. Then when you go on this other side of the opposition, they call Senator Darius Dillon going to shine light west side. When he has also drawn himself into high sense and high qualities of corruption. Look at himself to take 2 months' salary and pocket $6,500 when he should have been holding the government accountable as a strong opposition person. It didn't stop there. It comes to all we in the media industry when Rockney see it or Front Page Africa and T-Mac taking money from politicians. What guts do you have that when this person here, when you have a date on this person, when you have a story that you're supposed to tell the people, what guts do you have to tell the Liberian people, this is what this person have done? We come from everybody else, everybody sold out in that country. Everybody, journalists, Liz Jones, everybody, marketeers, women, children, students, everybody are corrupt. All of us, no exception. People even in the diaspora. Look at all of these organizations in the diaspora. They are all fragmented. And if you look to the bottom root of those, the cause of those organizations being breaking down is all about money, nothing. Everybody wants to be scientists, smart. They don't want to be your real inventors, but they want to play smart when it comes to money. By the time Nat, myself, something told we put together, I start thinking how to crook this person. That's the kind of behavior that is in us. And we expect our country to grow. We are not looking out again for signal. We have to listen to signals. There will be so many sound. There will be so many messages will be coming, but you have to listen. A positive signals is a little thing that you can hear, and that's why you try to take in. And so sometimes it hurts me. People who feel that they are opposition, that they are in opposition and they behave in the way they are behaving, when they cannot come up with strategic policy, it does not give me any courage in any form or shape that indeed they are ready to also take state power. When you're also hearing coherent messages and nobody can even come out to even critique one of their own is being done wrongly. So what would that tell us mean that if they even take state power tomorrow, you will not even go around and they're going to be like a Joe Tit. Yeah. George Weah, the Jefferson Koji, and Nathaniel McGee. But there are some other West McGee that are growing, they are breeding within the rank and file of the oppositions, the advocate community. Who told you to be an advocate is an easy journey? No pain, no gain. They're not even willing to sacrifice the county, their days and time, whatever they were arrested or whatever threat. Look at the history of Mao Zedong. India, go there, Mahatma Gandhi, the man who led the liberations of this country to get to see where blacks to be a liberator, to sit on the bus, to be going to certain schools, to live in all communities now. He wasn't doing it for himself, Martin Luther King. He wasn't doing it. He was looking at the future generations. That's why he was strengthening. But all our own people, the politician, the teaching poly, the opposition, it's all about themselves. They're not fighting for Liberia. They're not fighting for me. I do not believe in them. They are corrupt. They are dishonest. And you don't like for people to say, and you don't tell them. They lie to you, and you quickly falls into that. You buy into that without asking them questions. Not me. And that's why some of them, they find it very difficult for them to come here, because when they come here, we ask them some real tough time questions. Not those 1980 ELTV Shema Brown yes or no. No. We're going to ask some bizarre questions, quite legitimate questions that Liberians and people deserve to know how you're going to do it differently. Why you want to be president, why you want to be senator, why you don't want to be with your education, why you don't want to be a classroom teacher, you want to be senator, you want to be a representative. Why? Because of all of the bonuses and the benefits that involve. They go in there for 9 years, 6 years. You ever heard a senator or representative resign for corruption in Liberia before? Yes, when they even take it, then Englishmen use their word. They use a modified word in Besso. But when the ordinary person, Rallytown Market or Jumpingtown, who get a cold water setting in the street, when they tell something, they say that roll, you're beating, you're killing. But when these people, when they squander state resources and when they go into our national coffers and they take it, they use their sin money to wage an effective media campaign, because the media itself, we are also corrupt, and they profess to be. They will put themselves with these people, but when things fall apart, when the Central can no longer hold, where the Falcons can no longer hear the Falconers, then they turn to opposition, then they turn to an advocate community. Are you serious? If you want to be an opposition, you have to be consistent. If you want to be an opposition, or you want to be opposition, you have to be a consistent. Whether good or bad, you have to stand the toughness of time. How many are our people? They all now run in all the party. Every party, all of them, you look at them, all of them, they are being part of the party. Why? Because they fail to build it as an institutions with core value, with principle to sustain, to stand as an institution. They don't. They started with TWP now there again. They went to NDPL, NDPL lab, LPP. They have gone there. NPP came to town. The new open, they gone there. After NPP left, when Helen Johnson Sirleaf and our people, they hijacked the party too, and whatever some kind of way they brought in, everybody woo. They went to NPP. They went to Unity Party. Unity Party failed away. They failed to put it in structure as an institution to stand as a pro where we can reference, where we can see things. They left Unity Party. They're going to what? CDC, the Congress for Democratic Change. They form a coalition. That sort of Senate, that sort of Senate, they form, they put it together, they solidify themselves. Watch and see. I'm not the one going to determine what the election results is. The Liberian people, they're going to go to the polls. They're going to determine what the election result going to be. But after CDC, people that were in Liberty Party, everybody want to be like a cockroach where the oil is. They want to go in the barrel of the oil. They're all going to CDC. They left their party, the Liberty Party, the Unity Party, this party, that party. They left. They're gone. After CDC tomorrow, another group will come. Ooh. Are those people I should take as a serious people? I should consider them as advocates. I would consider them as opposition when they are unable to structure, to put their institutions in place to be reserved for us to say yes. Or you think you get by because Mike Zuckerberg opened Facebook, you sit down in your tinted car, enjoying, squandering the Liberian people money, getting 10,000. You know, when a couple of years ago, I had a privilege to interview my state congressman, Congressman David Cicillinans of the Ocean State of Rhode Island. And it was quite shocking that when he entered Representative Eden Kissinger from Illinois, a Republican in the bipartisan level, visited Liberia. And I was so embarrassed when he told me, is this what the representative, the lawmakers in Liberia, is it what they are making? And I'm getting the note of ordinary police people, teachers, nurses, they are late, they are earning, this is what they are getting, they are not even getting paid. So Liberia is rich. You don't need assistance if you have your lawmakers to be being that. You know what? I felt humiliated when I was having that interview. I like, what made me to call this man to interview him? Then when you're ready, you do cherry picking. The other person good. The Nyombli Kanga Lauren, very dishonest, corrupt people. And I will have my own liberal progressive Samson Brown too, and all will come on this network to defend Nyombli Kanga. Someone who took over 10,000 or whatever, 15,000, whatever it be from the Liberian people. And he didn't even go in the house, does not have the guts to call out his political leader. There's serious people there. And not to add insult to injury, recently they paid themselves 2 months, taking 6,500. It can get to my nerves. And when you see some of the videos of hard-working nurses, midwives, volunteers, or help worker, they were crying they're supposed to pay them $20. They did not even give them, they were paying them $13. You're ready, the allies seen in their mouth, they're talking there, and we're going to turn the light off, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. 4 parties, they are forming collaboration. How long has it been? They can even come up with a consensus, with a strategy as to how they can defeat this government that we all claiming with all of the things. I do not agree with most of their policy, but when you are opposition, you have to do it differently. They do not even have a strategy, a public relations strategy as to how to wage an effective public relations against the CDC government that they profess the thing that they think they're going to do. You must say that. You think in the month, it's not about how many people looking at you. I am interested in quality. That's what matters. That's what matters. When will Alexander Cumming face the CNN? When will they face Al Jazeera? When will they face the Raw Talk News Agency? Joseph Boyka, Benina Uri, whatever pressure group, when would they face those people like in the case of Bobby Wan, where sat before Al Jazeera and begin to give reasons step by step, communicating with the international community, forgetting the people of Uganda, but he's paving his way because at the end of the day, when he succeeds, when he becomes president, his success will rely on the international community, and that comes with a sense of responsibility and maturity. Your language, your tone. When you cussing people, you think the people stupid or you think they don't know? Facebook, YouTube now they're keeping everything. They're keeping everything. They're keeping track of everything that we are doing. Oh, when you're talking and then tomorrow you become a diplomat, talking in your throat and all of that. And then someone sensible who is a critical thinker like myself said, wait a minute, is this not this guy who was talking X, Y, Z? That's what I would say. They will find it very difficult to do business with you because you will seem not to be trusted. And that's what happened when people they run from institution, from party to party, from this place when they're not seeing their way on the side. When you go low, they call some kind of Babati press conference, Spoon TV, 4 TV, whatever TV, and come. We don't have time for those sort of exhibitions or charade in the country that are a waste of our time. I'm looking for tangibles. I'm looking for people who can produce, who will be, who are actions oriented. I'm looking for people who are going to put legislations in place. I'm looking to see the date Akara Gray will call Abraham Darius Dillon. Abraham Darius Dillon will call Akara Gray, or Nyombli Kanga Lawrence will call Sir Joseph and say, hey, we need to have a dinner, regardless of you being sedition, regardless of me being, how do you call them? Collaboration, wedding, party. We need to sit down and put a piece of legislation in place to alleviate all of these ills in society that will define that when concessions, when the companies come into what the Liberian people are going to get. How many of them does that? How many of them can by mistake to even call one person? Anytime you see this other person come on, they will call this other person name and the person do this and the other person do this and stuff like that. Is that how the country? We're not going to build a country like that. You hear in this beautiful country, the bipartisan group within the Republicans and the Democrats, they sit down and coordinate and work and do things together for the good of their country. And when these people are making their vote, they do it for their constituents and for what is good for the nation, not necessarily for their political institutions that they are representing. No. I don't have time for blame game. Yes, George Weah and his government, they are bad things they are doing. But the senators, they were not appointed by George Weah. These people, you were elected by us. We voted you. We gave you a mandate to get certain things done. But because of fear to incorporate within them, that, oh, even this thing is right, but if I stand firm against what is going on, perhaps my job is insecure. They will have somebody to contest against. So they worry, they are so protective of their job. If there are 5,000, 10,000 goes away, there are gallons of oil, free coal, and all of those things, it will go away from them. So they are more protective. So they are equally corrupt as the executive branch of government because they are the one to provide check and balances on the government. How many of these lawmakers who are in the opposition, independent, pending, and whatever they call themselves in there, how many of them raise their finger to say, okay, this $25 million budget submitted by government, how do you derive at this budget? Is it for the country, or they just look at a short-term goal, or because there was some sort of financial reward that were accompanying that 25 million? So overnight, nobody even get a guts to say, we're going to carry this here. I want to have a meeting with my constituents. Let me interpret the perfect meanings of this budget, the 25 million, how it came about. See what my constituent will say. These people are getting some sort of constituent money. How many of them have offices in their constituents? When last you saw them having really meetings and incorporate the ideas in the town hall staff faction? This is what we want in the community, and they made part of that as a piece of legislation, because that's what their constituents demanded or asked for. How many of them does that? Yeah, the same money they've been keeping all of these years. They're going to be using what I term as financial violence. They will start buying them rice. They will start buying them Zean. And because poverty has engulfed that nation, which of course we can't blame the people as well, probably because maybe myself over there, and you have 4 or 5 children, you leave, you go home, you come, you meet your woman, and the children come in, they're looking through the window to see who come in, papa come in, one day, day one, day two, no plastic bag in your hand. One of the smart child will say, but when somebody say papa come in, the smarter one will say, but let he come. And he knows why he's saying that is because no fancy bread, no little fuller bread is in that bag. So as a result, people are compromised. Until we can address all of these hardcore, uncomfortable issues that people do not want to hear, until we can openly have this conversation, until some of these people who are seeking for re-election or who even want to go in the Senate can come to us and tell us, say, hey, you know what, this 5,000, this 10,000 is too much. This is what I want to make. Until some of them can commit themselves to that, I think then that's the only way we can tell them. How many of them even willing to come? They come with nothing. And by the time they get there after one year, the bail houses, where do they get that money from? They all turn to humanitarian then. How many of them can continue that when they leave power tomorrow? How many of them? How many of them will get you bucket? How many of them will buy you a rest? How many of them can sustain those foundations that they are? All of them having foundation now. But we fail to realize that, or even if we do not even like the government, what we should be concerned with is to make sure that with the institutions that we have, we make it solid. Look at the young people that are all in the streets. One Pastor Gerald will be breaking on here at some point in time. They will have what we call the rehabilitation commission. Everybody building their own thing now to have to rehabilitate people. Why? Because you are already assured then way ahead of time that you're going to reward them another 9 years or 6 years or whatever. And so they will continue to be ripping our country off. They're going to be getting money to do that. Believe me, let them leave office. Let's see whether that foundation will stand. They will come with another rhetoric, say, the thing, the way we thought it to be, it's not like that. And the agency, the other people that was depending on. Guys, we have a very serious problem in the country. And that problem is chronic. We have to cut it off. If not, we will stay long inside. We will be inside for quite a while. And even to George Weah and the CDC government leaves today, it's going to get uglier than what it is right now. Because all of these people that I see here, all roaming around here fighting, who do not have coherent message, who do not have the guts to even tell their friends when they are doing the wrong, when they get in, when they are entrusted with state power, they will loot that country. They will pay the one they didn't get, all the hurts the thing they got from whatever time. They're going to give it to themselves. They're going to be tripled of Jefferson Koji. They're going to be tripled and Nathaniel Magee. They will begin to build those things, mansions, these people that are building. And guess what? They will start giving justification because they started it now and we buy into it. We are not asking them. They will start giving justification. Yeah, Helen Johnson, they are own who thought. Joy, we are bay mansion who thought that now you're one thought. That's this kind of narrow mind that we have. Yes, somebody did it, it got away. So we will not. That's how we're going to be revolving ourselves as a sovereign nation, the country of 172 years old. It is so ridiculous. Yeah, we say we are opposition, so we are advocates. and you do not want to be persuasive. You do not have that moderate tone to convey, to win somebody to your side, to invite somebody. The reason I want you to leave from this team to this thing here, because this is what my leader has. Look at this plan here. In fact, take this copy of this plan here, take it home, read over it, and let me get your opinion. Let me get your view on this proposed project if we become president. What you think of it? How many of them does that? They don't. They are all greedy hunters. The same way the greedy hunter, they are the government is. They are all greedy hunters. So hustlers. They are all coming as hustlers. Period. Whether you like it or not, we say as it is. And some you will see it. They are all hustlers. I'm waiting to see some of them who will come and say, okay, if I'm elected as president, XYZ people, for some reason, not to be judgmental that they are guilty, but these people will answer questions. They need to tell us more how they got their money, how they get this here. How many of them willing to tell them? All of them saying the statements of political correctness. When you ask them simple questions, then they go all around the world, come from Grand Judea, stop to Nima, flow to Banga, and then they leave and go way inside Lofa and come back before they come to Moroyo, before they answer the questions. Because they're not serious, because they are dishonest. That's how they behave. Well, it's 2:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will continue to have this sort of conversation, but we will say it as it is. Let me welcome a good friend and brother, also a veteran, Dr. Alexander Red, a veteran journalist. As a matter of fact, I just did an extraordinary job. Let me see, the president, I saw the information. I distributed items worth more than 3,000 to United States dollars to media institutions and media group in Liberia as part of its own contribution to address the challenging times facing our country. I feel bad for the media industry because and this is why these politicians, they bully them, they do not respect them. I attended several press conferences at Charles Bayard Memorial Hall, and these government officials, they just use these kids. They take advantage of them because of high situation. Some of these people, they walk, get on pimping or motorbike, whatever, from Ghana, Painesville, all because they want to do. I'm not saying everything about them is 100% perfect. No, that's not what I'm saying here this afternoon or this evening, whatever you are. But they are making enormous sacrifices, and these people, they don't even regard them, and they take advantage of a high situations in the country, and that's why people are so easily compromised. They take advantage of that, and they enjoy doing that, abusing it, abusing state resources to do that, to protect themselves. There's no any country that can survive without having the media to institutions. And I'm not saying the media community is everything about the media industry is 100%. We have our own. And remember, there are a variety of institutions. Some are private. So you do not really have control over things that they do. And that's the bottom line. But if all of us can have a sense of directions and put the interests of the country first, and maybe these media institutions have some sort of benefit that these people can be up to the standard of the profession. If you want to be rich, as Dr. Red, if you want to be a media man, if you want to be rich, don't be a journalist, because he's never going to get you. You will not be rich. It's just a sacrifice to give other people the opportunity to tell their narrative, to tell their story, things that are happening there, the unusual things that you do not have the time or courage, the ability to unearth, to tell for people to tell the story. That's what people do, and it requires sacrifice, commitment. And you have to follow all of the principles that are involved. I'm not talking about people who are talk show hosts. And this is why when you listen to Bill Cunningham of Illinois, the conservative talk show host, and that of Sean Hannity of Fox News Channel, you listen to Wolf Blissett and all of people, they are two different things. You listen to Rush Limbaugh, is quite different than when you're watching other something. So I'm not talking about those people. I'm not talking about them. But I'm talking about people who sign off to do a piece of job to give to their country. That's what they're supposed to do. But unfortunately, our officials, our people, they consistently continue to disrespect these people, and they don't see them as anything. But the days of Moses Washington, the late Gaswat Yamento, Charles Williams, and all of those veterans, Olivia Shannons, and all of those people, their days. The EZ, the Alexander Red are here, their days. That was a different boy game. But again, we understand time is significantly involved. But we still have the responsibility to make sure to ensure that the right thing is done. Until we can hold these politicians, these self-centered, ballot-driven, those hustlers in Liberia, they call opposition, who are not willing to make an ultimate sacrifice. They can't afford sleeping in jail one day. Instead, they will throw people in the street and to react for them. If Martin Luther King and all of these great people, and that's why my man Divine said one time while listening to his podcast, ask what is their legacy? What is the hallmark that we're going to reference? Your advocate, you were hanging out with the people yesterday. You took money from them. For X, Y reason, things could not, so the central could no longer hold. Things did not work out. Your anticipation were prematurely killed. Or other people came and intercepted what you should have gotten, and they walk out. And when you go load the next day, the telephone, so person advocate, and you think that auto, you think you can become advocate overnight? What is your record? Or being a human rights advocate, what is your record? How many human rights institution knows about your advocacy? So what sort of pain that you have gone through? Yeah, of course. Be a good or bad government. Government is a government. So when you come in to say you want to talk like a little chihuahua to get a government out of place, of course you're going to meet a resistance. So you don't need to whine. You don't need to complain, because you're going to get African government, third world countries. Liberia is no exception. You're going to get a flock. Go ask Cote d'Ivoire, the former prime minister. What happens the other day? He and Alassane Ouattara, they told him not to come. He said he will come. He said, okay, come. Let's see what the plane will land. What the plane talking? They're talking to Ghana. When you call, you said, man, let the plane land there. They end up changing it. We'll bet you. When you want to challenge government, when you want to be an advocate, it's between life and death. There will be a heavy price to be paid. It's not free. People want to do demonstration, okay, that's fine. But when you want to do it, it must have a result. People who even want to demonstrate, they can't even agree with one another. They do not even have a refined message. There's no contingency plan that, okay, when we go to this 1 year, if it does not work, this is what we're going to do. Other people go there, other people running away. That's how liberation struggle goes. No. Be prepared to get your hands behind you. Let police carry you. And then the international cameras are going to face is guess what? Those days of Reuben White, Elizabeth Blum, then they will be reporting this is why it's unfolding in the West African state of Liberia. That's how changes comes about. That's how the international cable wire picks it up. And then the international community gets an attention. But when you become so disgruntled, when you are opposition, when you advocate and you become so disgruntled, very indisciplined, that your tone of language is more than that of the government, it scares the international community. They find it very difficult to do business with you. Because there will be an uncertainty that this group here, these people here, they are nobody to do business with. But that country called Liberia, I don't know, something we did to go or something we did in that country that we need to come clean. Other than that, besides George, we are the one that will come, and that's the tradition of our country. We always cry. Now, Helen Johnson even go 2 or 3 years. Helen Johnson was better. Tomorrow, we're doing it now. Tomorrow, again, people will say George, we are is this. It's because we just fail to learn the true value, the real things. We do not like to be told what is right. We are not animals. For God's sake, God made us in his image. It's different from that of animal. And that's why we have 5 senses. And that's why God gives us a sense of reasoning to make good decision, judgment. Animal, they're not like that. You see that way they can fight. And that's why we have that sort of thinking that even when you want to do something God will signal to you, say, no, don't do this. Because God created us in that sort of in his own divine holiness for us to know the right from wrong. That country, I don't know. I was talking to one of our workmates, Nigerians and Nigerian friend. He said, I don't know, for us African, it's everywhere, not just only Liberia. So the question was, are we the problem or the government is the problem? Who is the problem to all of what is unfolding? Yes, we can also say government, they are in the seat, they have chunk of a decision to be made, political decisions, fair to say. But what about us as ordinary citizens? What is our own commitment to our country as people? They have people, this guy, Ellis Divan, Mr. Divan, used to be with KMTV now. He is the one that is investing, putting in time, sleepless night for this group called Youth for Change. That's the generation for tomorrow. Is the government, is local organization, are they supporting these people? Yeah. No. You still have Joseph Boyka. How old is he? He's still fighting to be president. Is that something I'm gonna listen to? When will he retire? How long has he served 12 years on a Helen Johnson celly, for God's sake? Let us be realistic. Let us say it as it is. How long he served on a Samuel Doe even before that time? All of these people here, how long? So when will it be your time? You're still carrying them. You're still carrying them. When will it be your time? Or you don't know about good, you don't know about good life, or you're just incapable of doing something for your country, you're not able to contribute to your country. And then they say they want change. How can you affect such a change? What is the new idea? What becomes the future of tomorrow? What becomes the future of the young generation? The children in Morocco, the other folks that are there. I am here now. When we build this, we want to leave it with other people for it to continue. We just need to establish a solid foundation that they can come and just add up to it. But they put the EEE until all their airboy, everything, somebody can take it from it. Then they want to come back to try to re-circumvent themselves as some sort of holy angel. Is that something I should listen to? They are all corrupt. They corrupt as judge. We are corrupt. I don't believe in people who give justifications of their action. I like people who accept responsibility, their fault, and that they are willing to change for the good of their country. How many of them does that? What is their language? When they told them fire, the Liberian people already dying. They told them fire come up to almost to kill the people cholesterol and blood pressure up. And then you say you are opposition. Then you say you are advocates. Martin Luther King, when he was speaking from Alabama, he was giving the people hope. He was giving the people courage. 29 years, Nelson Mandela, one of the Africans or the world best. When you're coming from jail, he said, I'm going to pay there. He came, he just did his term, and that's it. And our Liberian man, he will become maybe like what he said, Totman, until he dies, before he will leave office. Because the 29 years suffering and all the other poverty that he was in before even getting to that place, that's when that he's going to take all. They have organizations in the country. They have some young committed people. If you're not part of any political institution, if you can't be yes to them, they don't know you. Your NGO you get, it will struggle until with that premature death. Yeah. That was Wilson Tappe. You were talking yesterday, there are other layers. How layer will not add on it? When WFP want to give you something, it's a free thing, free. They have other countries they are dealing with, and they have organizations. You want them, you can go to those organizations for them to so those people too. You just want EU alone to EO, and they all created fake organizations, non for profit thing. You think the people stupid? They say layer are on it. Of course, they were asking me on it. That's complete wickedness in high places. And you sit down, you talk about government, your own opposition people, they're doing it. All of the senators represented nothing to humanitarian people. They have a foundation. How long can those sustain those foundations when they leave office tomorrow? Do they not have organizations in Liberia that are trust they do not have organizations, Liberians, people that are involved in different multitudes of role, giving back to their country? In this country that you're in, they have federal, they have local, they have different organizations that government gives subsidy and they work with people. Why? This is how you incorporate, this is how you get people to be part of the system, then it alleviates the burdens on national government. But they alone, their children, their woman, girlfriend, boyfriend, and white male school, they become so selected, they are the only people that they can give. As long as you're not joining their party, you're not part of their company, you can't succumb to them, you not want to be a yeser to them, they don't want you to ask them questions, forget it. Leave your own with God. You're not making point to national government. You're not making an authentic case. You can make a recommendation. Making a recommendation, the tone, the language, the conversation, it matters. If not to you, for me. Because I'm looking for an alternative. I don't want to be caught in a surprise. For so long, we are being get ourselves into a surprise because we do not ask all of the question. And it really did party. How many party? How many parties that we have not had that we will have right now will make a difference? Is anybody asking the question of why those parties today they are not together? Where is NDPL? Samuel Doda, that was the death, that was the executions of the National Democratic Party of Liberia. Where is NPP? Well, you will say Joel Howard Taylor is the vice president, which of course that's a good side of a good argument. But what is it? How it looks like? All of them, they are fragmented. Yeah. Liberty Party. How long Liberty Party has been around? Is anybody asking question why they have not won presidency? Okay, well, people been doing election here and there, but what has been the message? What is responsible to see what is unfolding? Yeah, CDC. Is there any plan right now by the Congress for Democratic Change after George Weah presidency, as most of them say, 8-year, 12-year, 15-year, 18-year loading, whatever they say, that's their words I'm using. That's not my creation. That's not what I'm injecting here. But are they preparing anybody now after George Weah presidency to take? All of the focus right now, it will just be only on this man. And when he shall fade away from political scene, then they start, then hell break loose. Then they start scrambling, fighting who to be who's to gain control. That's what our institution do not. That's why they don't succeed. Because even when a person try to be if you watch the history of this country, you will always see during the Democrats or the Republicans, their conventions, their primary, when it's ongoing, you're going to see the promising style of Republican, the promising style of Democrat. Why? Because electors and pundits signal the potentials of that individual. So the probabilities of that person taking over when the current people leaves is most likely. But when it happens, like a group of people will put together, you sitting there, they may want to overthrow you, they may come and take over the party, then they lie on you, they either throw you in jail. As a result, people potential are being suppressed. So people get it. You can't say it. They can say it. So how do we anticipate, how do we expect our country to grow when we are unwilling to allow new potentials, when new people to come in public scene, when we do not want it? When you have people that Joseph Boyka still want to be president after serving, so when my own son will be president too, Is that something we should buy into? They are see people, the Unity Party and all of that, see there, this and that. So no any other person there. So then you are giving the government the argument, yeah, Joy, we are stay there. He the only man there. St. Joseph Boyka is the only man there. Stay there. Boyka don't want to be vice president. He's not even willing to be senator. Ellis Kumi, I'm not sure whether he himself willing. If these people feel something right is not happening and that they want to hold government responsible, why can't these people go and test their political strength in their various constituencies? Come go to Kepamo and be senator for Maryland County and see. So you and Buffer Chimo can Buffer Chimo representatives, so you can so we'll see what happens. Benana Ure, from where Kirisburg or whatever, try be senator for Moserado. He will not win. That's my opinion. He will not win. These people, they are just there to be opposition as well, to protect their wealth, so that even when something wrong is happening, when they go talk, even though as bad the government will be, when the government try to go talk, they say, oh yeah, the government try to muscle the opposition. They are there to protect their wealth, and that's a very good strategy. I'm wondering why they can be representative or senator. If they know that the Senate is rotting as well, why they can be? John Casey of Ohio contested, right, for Republican. He did not win. What happens? He went and he became governor 2 terms of Ohio. Any crime in that? Any crime committed? What is the secret? Why our people, why they only want to be president? Why they don't want to be even, why these people cannot test their political popularity? You want to have a strong voice? Go in the Senate, represent your county. And probably you will have that strength. You can affect changes. You can take new ideas. You don't have to be president. Yeah, they want to be president because they also too want to reside over state resources to squander them as it is ongoing. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's the bottom line to it. Other than that, I defy them. If they can't even come together up to this point in time to come to a consensus to say this is what we want to do for the country, what is the strategy? What is the strategic policy that you have in place? When will you sit down with CNN one of these days by coincidence, by mistake, Liberia presidential candidate or major opposition having an interview with people that Wolf Blazer without coming on LPR or going on Spoon TV or Fog TV? Let's say your cause, your supporter cause, the same way the opposition behave, and you expect new result. So potentially what we're going to be getting, even after the election, whether Joy, we are, or who get, believe me, we're going to have a proliferation of other people that will start cussing as well, because Liberians are enticed to this sort of kind of behavior. Subsequent podcasts, I will play a video, a tape here when you listen to Radio Salon. That's how they call it. For those of you, all of us that are on Facebook, sit there and sees their former, their lawyers, Antonin, those people, that have some of the opposition in Australia, they in the US, some of them in Sierra Leone. Sit and listen to their language, their tone when they're talking, even as opposition. Liberal opposition, they are crisis opposition. They manage crisis. They only come together when there's a crisis. When they paint one person and other than are like a grabber and just when you box the buckable hill. They manage crisis, just how government manage crisis. So it makes no difference to me as far as I'm concerned. If we can be proactive to get ahead of the game and be more proactive to avoid, I'm looking for people who are trying to avoid crisis. That's the people. I'm not looking for people who we have enough crisis to manage. So I'm not looking for another group of contingent that want to come in to manage crisis. That's just so ridiculous. Why this country have an endless story that when you even start talking, you can't even end? Why? George Conway appear like Halifax inflation starter. Same looks. Well, I don't know. But I'm just giving you my honest mind, thoughts, and feelings about the country. Seeing things that are following, seeing things that is unfitting. This dishonesty and disingenuousness of our people, politicians, and continue to abuse our people, squander state resources, and our inability to see these things and talk about it is just too much. You see people under the disguise of being they are coming to what they call liberate or coming to change course. They are not. They will be the same. And we'll come back here and talk the same thing. How long we haven't talked this thing here? How long? Every day we talk about it, and then we'll have severe headache. We take ibuprofen, we take Tylenol or whatever, and just go to bed. We'll come back again. The next thing. Every day, different side of attraction, either from the government side, either from the opposition side. People making irresponsible statements, comments, giving justifications of their action. John McCain was he was in his sick bed when he went to Capitol Hill and gave that thumbs down. He did it in the interest of the country, of his constituents, of something that he strongly have conviction about. How many are people willing to do that? In the twinkle of an eye, they compromise for financial gain. Yeah. Esther Howard. When the mindset changes, when will that happen? When? That's the $1,000,000 questions. How many times are we not heard from these politicians, the oppositions who now becomes in charge of state power? How many times have we not heard, oh, when I come, this one will do this, they want to do that. But sooner or later together, they are all initiated with aimed that sort of sending it, that sort of that's because it's like a chambers that is being built. And by the time you get there, you have people to receive you, to initiate you. Hey, when you were out there, it's a different thing. Here, this is how we do it. Believe me or not, this is how we do it. Do not mind those people out there. That's how they tell them that, how they initiate them. Do not mind those people out there. They will talk and talk. They will not get tired. Don't mind them. You know how long Totman then did it, how Totman did it. And then they begin to give you some historical, begin to put it into some historical perspective, which of course is real. They begin to put it there. They put it into historical perspective. And if you are not a nationalist or somebody who doesn't love their country, and you buy into it, you not pay your horse, you get a horse there. Okay. What are you talking about? When you leave from here, they don't know you no more. Nobody will get time for you. When they go to bed, then they start rolling, they're having a nightmare dream, thinking what to do and what not to do and all of that. By the time they wake up, you say, you know what? The Lord spoke to me and said, this is what I would do. If I finish doing all this one, then I will think about the country. That's how they are initiated. That's how they are initiated. And that is so appalling. Well, folks, every good thing must come to an end. And like I said, the story of Liberia it's an endless one. You will talk like a no end. We will not even get to the end of it. But we will not give up. We will not give up. We will be high like a rock. We'll be high here too like them. Seeing the high, we'll be high like them. Because if we leave it with them, that's their trick. Your little people then they will talk. When they talk, they get tired, they will sit down. Or leave it with them. Creole man say then they don't put everything. They spoil everything. They don't mind them. But we just want to call on people to be very conscious, to create some sort of civility into our national dialogue. The opposition, the government, supporter, whoever you are, you have a right to support who you want to support. But when people are talking about a sovereign nation like Liberia, a country of 172 years, 172, then that not your husband or that not my husband, whether my woman want me, my woman not want me, whether the person, then that not boyfriend, girlfriend business. We are talking about compound complex situations that has engulfed the whole country, and we try to figure it out as to how we can get from that bondage. We are talking about a country that was ravaged by civil war, where people are still traumatized. And you see people necessarily walking in code, but they're talking something burning inside there that is not right. We are talking about a country that is economically starving, that is dying. We are talking about a country that is not developed. We are talking about countries with multiple compound complex situations, social, political, economic. I mean, tons of countless. Listen to, I saw a video the other day. One of our correspondents, the period was circulating. The guy killed his wife. Do you think those people in their right frame mind? What are our leaders doing to put a structure to have a national rehabilitation commission? How many of them are talking about it? These are some of the people that gave these children guns. They gave them all sort of narcotics. Today, their mind not settled. They are damaged for the life of their own. How many of them trying to set an institution? One was Sir Joseph, Akaras Gray, Darius Dillon, Nyombi Kanga Lawrence, and all of these big political actors. When would they sit down to say, okay, this is what we need to do, even though I disagree with you, you disagree with me, but let's do it this way for the sake of the country? How many of them are willing to come to that consensus? All of them now tend to NGO people. That's not the work of a senator. That's not the work of a representative to be building breaches. I never saw my Senator Jack Reeve here or David Cicilline here building any breach. When you see him there, then it means he going for dedication because of the legislation, because he lobbied, because things that he did, because program he talked to people and come and bring some sort of development in the community. When would these people do it? Then they're ready to say, I build breach. Where you take the money from? How you got that money? Anybody asking that question? What kind of Lebanese men would just low when you not nobody, when they do not want something in return that will come and give you tens of thousands of dollars and say you build breach out of your own pocket? Not out your no damn pocket. That's a Liberian people money you squander, and you continue to fool and lie to our people and presenting them like you are in the cause of the people. You are not. It is the state resources, maybe the concession agreement or something that you are going to play that you take it and put it to yourself. You did not tell the people what you were doing, and then you turn around, you try to give them to present yourself, you as an angel for the community, so you will continue and consistently to reside over the resources. That's what you're doing, and that's what we need to be telling the people. How many of our leaders that left office when Bill Breach went to their town? They don't. When you see Liberian man giving something beyond it, they will end up getting something because they want to make reference to something. You remember at the time during the Ebola, you remember during the time the COVID, that a group of people that sent there are sending. But now I have come. Even though they said before that they're not going to run, but I have come. The people asked me to be the senator, to be the representative. So my people, then they start. They are coming again. You better beware. We have to tell that, we have to say it as it is. They are coming again. They will not tell you that. We always cast the blame either on the oppositions or on the government, but what your own conscience is telling you. I'll be having a women group tomorrow. I'll be here by 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be hosting a pastor. Quite fascinating. It's quite interesting. This guy, he was my guest last Saturday. Believe me, he's firing. Believe me. And I don't know, but it's gonna be amazing. And there's a plan to host a women group. Mamoni Dennis used to be the former chairperson. Aisha is based in Philadelphia. This women group, I think they have some money. They want to help people cover 19 victims, especially people that die. And my understanding of record, they are trying to get some sort of relief assistance in Liberia as well. Special identified group of people, target group, and stuff like that. We're going to be doing that. That's what we sign off for. That's the uniqueness of the Liberia Public Radio. Basically, we modeled the start of the National Public Radio right here in the USA, which is a network. You don't easily see cash out up here. When we do it very suddenly. When we do putting cash out, and that's what I told my people. All the network, other than tobacco, we're supposed to provide check and balances on these people that are getting the money. But you said you're baking without anything tangible, without anything. You're baking. So as a result, when people do it, you're not even talking about it. I told my people we will do it, but when we do it, we will provide a clear-cut reason why we are doing it. And this is why we're fighting hard to do it by ourselves. We are not in competition with anybody, and we intend not to be in competition. The only people want to be in competition with the Liberian people to unearth, to tell them to what is right. That's to our staff. It's volunteering. We'll get it, we give it. And that's why we're having this young generation. We make our own sacrifice. If you want to give, you just put money on their phone properly, that's it. But we have done, so we prefer to do it for different people, like in the case of the students in Morocco, little Josias in Bon County, right? And those guys that were in jail, so one of them was going to having a vision problem, raise money. But there's a choice I am contemplating for us to do a fundraiser because I saw the specific video. An 11-year-old boy was dropped from Ketah. The story I saw that from the Liberian Youth Agency at Kwame Weeks. I get that very well. I've contacted the pastor when I'm having Dr. Ketah yet. I will try to set up time. This man is the one taking these group people the call that they have labeled as Zoko, right? 11-year-old boy. According to the story, that little boy, there's a lady that used to do business with his mother, went to Ketah and brought a little child in Morovia and dropped that child. And now 11-year-old turned up being a drug addict, smoking marijuana, cocaine, and stealings, and all of that. And there's another guy who said he was in the armed forces of Liberia, used to be one of the forerunner. Later on, things went bad, and he became a drug addict. A little girl was giving her story, who is a daughter of a former representative, how she became a prostitute and things that she was doing. But this church, this pastor, Pastor Jerry, went and have those people, but it is some more people that Minister Zoka was in. My understanding is working for them. These are people that are honest, genuine God people. These are people that these people that doing it out of their own volitions, out of their own inner server, because they want to be interventions in other people's lives. Not these politicians that go there because they want people to be behind them, the coke or money caraba, I call it money caraba, or whatever rest, and start feeling the people in your own country, and they not even feel shame. They are not ashamed of themselves. They're feeling people, adults, men, women, feeling them taking plate to be giving their hands out. Or because they want these people to see them as their redeemer, to give them, to reward them to a political office. But that's not what Pastor Jerry is doing. And the testimony of those people is quite amazing. And that's something all of us need to support. I don't care for city mayor, media CEO, representative giving that the people money you took all these years, you pocket. And because you found out the consequential elections around and you are making way to get back to a state office, that's what you're doing, you give it in. That's what I should clap for. I'm not clapping for you. The people money you took illegally, fraudulently, that's why you're giving to them. How many of them can get money when they're out of office? That's why I should believe in. And they ready to say the man did well. The other people not do what they want people. These are the solid, lazy justification that we make. That will make our government to rob off, that will make our opposition to rob off, that they can become a strong force for them to stand and argue for us. But Pastor Jerry, the testimony of those young folks, I will set a time because I have that video, and hopefully we'll have some of those people. We will ask you, because if we leave those people like that, if we leave it at that, I don't care. You take, I don't know who's the best person here now, say you take Bill Clinton, and carry him back to Liberia to be president. If that society, that vulnerable group, the people that have been left behind, if their issue is unsettled, you will continue and consistently be having that kind of problem, because those are unavoidable things. Those are things that has to be addressed for government to progress. And they're not doing it. It's all about themselves. If we not address it, 100 years, you and myself will sit down here, our or Mika Bai or whatever will run. Nothing. I want to thank Dr. Joseph Ketah, who is the Chief Medical Officer of the Republic of Liberia. We hope to continue to have those sort of conversations, and not just only with government officials, even the opposition. They need to tell us, they need to leave their own comfort zone and come on a neutral ground. Let we have a dialogue, let we have a conversation, so let them tell us exactly their strategy, their plans they have for the country as well. Yeah, let them come so we can have a discussion. We had a very good discussion here. My audience was quite amazing. They were asking tangible questions, no insult. That's the beauty of this network. Mature people that come, these are conscious people who are eager, who wants to know what is happening in their country. So it's better. We believe here quality is better than quantity. What good when you have 10,000 people and the 10,000 people that live and go with false information? They run with fake news. Donald Trump. It hurts the society. But when you have 10, 15 people who want to process the information, contain the information, and are going back to sell that information effectively because they were very keen, they were very sensitive, they listened to good choice, word choices, their friends were tweeting, they were sharing ideas, they take away with it. That's it. Believe me, if I take out the code just now, take out my trousers and start jumping up here, it go viral. Yeah, our eyes, that's why we elaborate on how we behave. The eyes are so used to bad things. As a result, the mind is itself now is being polluted with bad things. How can somebody be abusing? Yeah, sometimes I go there because I try to figure out what is going through the heads of these people, and I try to see, and I know these kind of people that need help because it's abnormal, it's not usual. It's not usual. Something not right. Something is missing somewhere down the road, somewhere there. I don't know where it is. I don't know where we can replace it. I wish it was some sort of mechanical thing. Maybe we can find a mechanic to replace it, but that seems not to be the problem. That's the situation. It is why it is. It is why it is. Folks, I was supposed to have, and that's what we are doing now. We are trying to take this message to the people. The network was so bad. Some group of young folks are just in a chat with a guy from Grand Gilead. We try to expand this in all of the 15 political subdivisions, or whether we have our corresponding, to get the message of what is actually in the minds of the people and not just focus on Morovia. I'm freaking sick and tired about Morovia. People having press conferences 12 a.m., 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. You have the other people who sitting down before they send it. They want to take out their trash at 1 o'clock. Yeah, because people are bored. Nothing is doing. So it's just like a side of attraction. People seeking attention now. But people have burning issues outside of Morovia, in the villages and in town. They have burning issues that they want to express. Those are the people we want to be going to get the news. And those people in Morovia there that are so bold, all about Capitol buildings, foreign affairs, temple of justice, police on Capitol Hill, and all of that. We need to go. I am not saying things that I'm not saying we're not going to talk about things. But we need to get out of that comfort zone. We need to take government outside of Morovia and the people that are part of the government. Let the citizens feel the presence of the government. Let the citizens express their view. If we forget about those people here, do you think without Morovia is just minute? It's just a minimum portion. We have 15 political subdivisions. That's the country. So why all of our things with just being Morovia? When you go to the other person call press conference, everybody run the whoo. And they are burning social economic issues, ongoing abuses, people rights being violated in outside of Morovia, and nobody there to tell the narrative. Because those people, when people go there, nobody gonna give them anything. Our station manager is on his way to Bapolut and that of Cape Mount. Hopefully, we got some news. We got great news. We had an interaction with the superintendent of Sano County today live. We will get a sense of what's ongoing in Sano. We hope all the other counties leaders, local leaders, they will make themselves available as well to have this sort of conversation. It is healthy. It's worth doing. And that's what we want to do. We want to keep the news proportional. We don't want to disadvantage news and get certain people to know about the news and the other people don't know about it. That's where all of these problems in the society can finish. Yeah, we need to know what's going on throughout the length and breadth of the country without being selective, because they are not senator, because they are not representatives, so they don't have the right to tell us their narrative, what is ongoing, what we need to know, how somebody can make an intervention. If we don't address, if we do not take the bottom to top approach, we are taking top to bottom. You need to fix the foundation. You need to have the foundation solid. We need to. Why you think when people is building house, they're telling you to make a foundation solid? Go build a house on the beach, and just take some kind of stick there and just put it there and go pour zinc over it. It will throw you in the sea. That's why people will tell you, say, make your foundations is the stone, is the bottleneck of your house. So if we do not fix honor, if we do not address, if we fail as a society, as a people to address these challenges that are facing our country, the bottleneck challenges, and try to take it up there, it will be problem. If you leave those people who you call Zoko, if you leave them out, and the reason they are jacking people bears, they are doing things, I'm not condoning what they are doing. It's wrong, it's bad. But if we fail to address it, and even take Bill Clinton or George Bush here, who has retired to be president of Liberia, this problem is still unsettled. That's the analogy, that's the approach I'm taking to you. So we need to do something about that. And I listened to some of them recently. It is quite painful. It is quite painful. It is these same self-seeking, greedy politicians, some of them still alive, some of them are dead, are those same people that are pressing the minds of the generation today. So we need to rally behind people like Alex Devine, who was building to you for change generation. We need to rally around them. So you listen to John Sembe, the guy in Morocco. I listened to a debate with he and another girl the other day. See those people talking. These are the people we need to start trying to get on the stage and to prepare them. How many of us are willing to invest? Well, we still have the old treatment time politicians. They still want to be over state resources. So the children are learning in Morocco, they're learning in China and getting their degree, masters, and this and that. When will they give them way? When will they allow them to work for their country, to give back to their country? They might just go to school after burning their hair, doing everything, then they go back to their country and then nothing, because some kind of 65, 70-year-old man, they're still there. He still want to be minister of finance. They still want to be the director, budget director. How can we grow a country like that? You saw what Barack Obama came. There were certain people, there was the days of Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter, their time came, they did what they could do, they left the political scene. A guy with a rabbit ear from no man land, out of the sudden 2008, we saw him, he emerged from just a speech at a convention, and that was the defining moment. That was a pivoting aspect there for his political career. If we're in Liberia, somebody have done that to any convention, you don't take time to expect you from that party. That man, no more, you're not there. We suppress people talent. We don't elevate people. And then we say we want the country to grow. We want to compare with Cote d'Ivoire. We want to compare with Ghana. We want to do this. When we have people who are also capable to do those things, but our inability to discover and utilize the potentials of these people, we don't do it. We suppress them to the extent they end up being victimized by our wickedness, because we do not want them to gain prominence. Then you expect the country to grow? The country won't. No way it can be. I will be back here at another day. We always, there's a traditions on this network. We don't necessarily tell you what you want to hear. And if that's the purpose of you being here, and I feel bad, and it is unfortunate, we tell you what you need to know. And we also incorporate your idea. This is why it is an open, we always have an honest, open discussion. And this is why, beside our guests, When you even call in to participate in my program, the same question potentially that I ask my guests, you could be asked, because any comment, anything that you say on this network, you will be held liable for it. All of us have the obligation to ensure, to make sure our utterance, our expose, things that we talk, things that people hear, we are all accountable. It's not only government alone, it's not only opposition alone. All of us, you as a citizen, we all have a shared responsibility. With that said, the old man on the wall time has caught up with me here in the east coast of the Liberia Public Radios in the ocean state of Rhode Island. And time check is 2:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am Alphonso Zean of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. I want to thank you so much for being part of my company here this beautiful afternoon, wherever you are, evening to your location. Please, the coronavirus, the virus is real. Keep yourself safe. Apply some common sense method. CDC. I'm not talking about CDC in Liberia. I'm talking about the Center for Disease Control here in the USA and all of the healthcare practitioners, whatever they are. Follow the protocols. Use your common sense method. Always have your glove with you. Do not use your physical hand to come in contact with anybody. Treat people anybody that you see, including myself, treat them as a COVID patient. It is real. Hopefully, there's a person who has survived from the COVID-19. The person has agreed to come on this network for us to have a conversation. And part of that is to create an awareness, to get an insight, the experience of being the COVID patient and where he has come from, his own personal experience. They can be the only person to give a perfect interpretation of the feelings of being the COVID patient and surviving from it. When he provide that narrative, when you're somebody who just go to any filling station and just grab the bare hand pump, perhaps you're going to have a second thought. Until then, time has caught up with us here this evening. I want to thank you so much for your time, your patience, and being part of this wagon. And also our thanks and appreciation to the Chief Medical Officer of the Republic of Liberia, who was earlier my guest, as well as the Superintendent of Sano County, joining us from the east side of Liberia. We are looking forward to having these sort of conversations, not in the near future, but soon as time, to get a clear sense of what is unfolding in our country, and with the possibility all of us coming to work together as a people, as a nation, to address the many challenges faced by our country. You, me, us, we all have a shared responsibility to making Liberia a vibrant nation. Think about it. The country is 172 years old. Can you imagine? Thank you very much and have a pleasant evening. And I will see you. I'll be back here Thursday, tomorrow at 12 o'clock with this bishop from the Empire State of New York. Have a pleasant day. Bye-bye.